everybody to Ultimate Success in Relationships. My name is Zen. I will be your hostess with the mostest for the evening. And by the hostess, I mean I will be introducing your facilitator here in a little bit. So, who here is excited to be here? And you don't have to say it, but awesome. So we want you to know that we don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, so you're not required to do anything in particular. But if you're comfortable and you're safe, we want you to play it all out. So just play until it's not fun enough to not play, and just observe if you need to. So we're going to start with a warm-up. If you feel safe enough and brave enough, I'm going to have you stand up, and you're going to go from person to person. And you're going to say to them, if I was a master communicator, how might my influence impact my relationships and my life? Okay, so everyone stand up. On your mark, get set, go.
What are you saying? I know. Oh, if I feel master, I don't feel
you don't have to put out. Any words, unless you would. I know.
If I was a master communicator.
As a
master communicator, how would it influence?
Hi, hon, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah.
Trying to break in or whatever. I'm trying to find someone.
Right. No, you're fine.
So what is it like if I was a master communicator? How would I? Exactly.
Right?
How would I do it?
Like, how would you?
That's what's confusing.
Probably by my actions, by my personality, my brightness, you know, my eye contact, my listening. Yeah.
I just found, I think a lot of it's personality traits like that.
Were you supposed to go around to letters? Alright, dude. You go. Alright. If I was a master communicator, I would say, how would I? Yeah.
What would you say?
If you're a master
It would improve.
we'll be down. So you're a master communicator, how would you do that?
But what are the words?
How do you say it?
Eye contact, speaking and improve the ability to people, talking to them with giving them some gesture, hand gesture.
They would sense compassion for me. They would sense understanding for me.
I mean, it's not
Let me get
If I was a master communicator, I would say to myself, speaking my, speaking with them.
Just, you feel safe enough? Do you feel safe enough to do it with me?
Oh, they're in a letter.
Okay. I'm Diana.
Oh, cool.
Nice to meet
I
you.
just
Okay.
if
I were a master
do
communicator.
that type, are you?
And you're supposed to do everywhere in your life.
I understand that a little bit. I thought you went through like vibes
I feel
Before that, it was, yeah.
intimacy, and I need to
Yeah, escape computer.
What
Hello, Michelle. How are you doing?
I ran into a financial advisor that gave me advice based on how much you could get paid for. Commission him. Well, it ticked me off and I felt the drive to do something about it.
was he having a
He was recommending permanent insurance policies for investments where we weren't interested.
Hasn't that been around since the 80s?
No, they will. I can see it around 2004,
Oh, the UL. Okay. Maybe that's what I did.
How's it going? Kylo. Justin, nice to meet you. So if I was a basketball kid, I would tell each other why not following things up with the game.
then I wanted to understand how it works.
I hear about those talk to someone, or
And you don't want to reflect.
you hear that
How's it going, John? Kylo.
you feel like it obviously reach out. Do you like the direction?
What are you talking about? I didn't know that I was trained.
15 years ago.
You must like it.
Right.
My role as I see is to protect people from conflict of interest in places.
Okay, and now we're going to do the second part of the warm-up. So go ahead and stand. You're going to go from person to person, and you're going to share with them what is the worst possible thing that could possibly happen. Like you say something and you get really embarrassed, or what's the most amazing thing that you could get out of this workshop. Okay, and go.
See something.
All right.
Yourselves in the workshop.
What is the worst thing that you could think could happen in this workshop? What would be the best?
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Out of this,
Yes.
So on my way over here, I had
the worst possible thing I could get out of this.
And the best.
And I
And the best.
No, I had to stop and get another pair.
The worst thing I could get out of this workshop is me not listening. The best thing I could get,
Get up in front of someone, or
I would be able to harness those tools that were given me and be able to use them.
and I thought, now where I'm at now, just wrap my jacket around my pants and into the store.
Okay, now you're.
And then the best thing, I'm engaged again. I've been married before, so
Yeah.
the best thing that could happen is
If I can maintain it. No, no.
he's been in the past relationship, so there's some of that like bringing
You're fine.
way of doing things to the new relationship that doesn't work.
If I do something, what would be the worst response?
Hi, Farrah. I'm similar, Bob. I used to be self-conscious, embarrassed about everything, people judging me.
And really want to see
Now I don't even get paid.
That I get a new idea. And the
I
best
think
thing
that
that
says a
happens is
lot.
I can be empowered
I mean, there's
about my
times that
situation.
she's
Empowered to do something that I'm not thinking of right now.
you can look
The
past that
worst
when a
that
person
can happen
happens.
is that I get nothing at all.
So, do you have kids? Do you find that some of that interest to, what do you do in the house? It's hard because you want to like, you want to push.
I was the same way when I was there. Yes. So it's hard. You can't be like that.
That's kind of where I'm at. It's like,
I encourage them to
Okay, if
do that.
everyone would please silence their cell phones if they haven't already done that.
Okay. Are we done?
Want to stop back to the So we're going to go ahead and continue. So up here on the front table, we have our flyers for the upcoming events that we have. We've got some pretty powerful workshops. In addition to this one, we've got the Awakening Retreat up there. There's a course that I'm actually producing at the end of this month. So feel free to take a look at that when you get a second. Okay. So now is for the moment you've all been waiting for, right? I'm going to introduce your facilitator for the evening. This is a man who has absolutely changed my life. He has been doing behavioral science work for over 40 years. He's helped thousands of people change their life in pretty much every aspect of their life, from relationships to finance to business, you name it. Fortunately, as I was saying, for me, this is my 2-year anniversary on Friday. I started with this course. And when I started with this course, I didn't think that my life was going to be moving in the direction that it was going. And 2 years later, I can tell you that the more you do this work, the more you work with this man, the more your life will just keep changing for the better, and the more blessings will show up for you. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to a man who I love personally, and I am happy to call my friend and mentor, Mr. Gary Acevedo.
The crowd goes wild. Carnegie Hall. Well, while you're busy checking me out, I'll check you out. Good job. Is there anybody that didn't get a pre-course packet, either online or when you came into the workshop?
Well, she didn't get one, but do the people that are just doing tonight need one?
Not until they register, then they get the pre-course packet. Great. Okay. I do want to say for the guests, if at some point tonight you get that you want to sign up, I would sign up sooner than later, because the first couple of people that sign up actually are going to get a really amazing deal. So, if you know, don't know until you know, but when you know, then just go ahead and jump in. Okay. So first, I've got to tell you about who I am, which is slightly boring for me lately. I guess what I'll tell you is that over the last 40 years, because I've immersed myself in so many technologies that are for healing and transformation, and anything having to do with helping people, that basically I've gotten to be really good at coaching people to get out of their own way. Because the worst you can say about most people is that they're kind of clever about getting in their own way. So I'm really good at helping them get out of their own way so they can show up and shine and be the gift that they came to be. Okay? And my secret weapon is looking through the eyes of unconditional love, or what I would call Christ-like love. Okay? If you wanna read some of the success stories I've had, there's a document at the back table that has a whole bunch of them, and they're my favorite success stories. I'm going to go into that now. Now, the reason why this course and one of the excuse me, one of the other courses we do gives discounts is because we're basing it on the one potato chip theory. We're hoping that if we give you a really great workshop and give you a taste of how amazing the workshops are, that you'll say, I don't want to just eat one. I want more, right? That's why some of you got a discount. Okay? So the two things that I'm going to mostly be, well, there are actually three. The three things I'm going to be putting in front of you from time to time will be the Awakening Retreat, which is the most powerful thing I can offer anybody. And movement to mastery. Now, awakening is kind of like an evening in 5 days and an evening in 4 days, and it's an event. There's 2 phases, about a month apart, and it's an event. It's a life-changing experience. Movement to mastery, on the other hand, is actually long-term, consistent support. So I'll give you more details later about those 2 things. Oh, the third one I'm going to put in front of you is the one-on-one coaching that we do with some of our best facilitators, our best healers. Michelle, can you get the movie Lie to Me just ready? And just let me know when it's ready. Just signal me. So let me tell you how tonight's going to go. First, we're going to talk about how life works. Give you the full skinny on how life works. And you're going to learn about the beginning and end of all upsets, because most people don't notice that every upset starts at the same exact location, and every upset ends at the same exact location. And people rarely ever notice when do they start, when do they end. So we're going to teach you about that. Then we're going to teach you about the power of dreams. Your dreams, your visions, your aspirations, and their power to kind of really catapult you into higher ground. Then when we get back from the break, we'll talk about a whole new paradigm for relationships and show you the 4 stages of a conscious relationship and how you can actually create the relationship of your dreams. Okay? And then we're going to end the night with the fun part of the night, which is called the greatest key to influence. And you're going to get a small taste of your true self. No, anything but that. No. Now, when scientists do the research, they find out that what people mostly want is 2 things. They want success, money, accomplishment, stuff like that, or they want to be happy, satisfied, fulfilled, peace, happy. Well, it turns out that success, when somebody's successful, we call them a leader. It turns out that success or leadership always starts with a vision. And success always ends with results. Not close, not almost, results. So, by definition, it means that successful people or leaders are people who have the capability, the capacity to manifest their dreams. Now, the next principle is that happiness is a state of being. Imagine a light bulb over your heart, like E.T. And that light bulb is either off or on in every right now. Right now, right now, right now, right now. That light bulb is either off or on. So in every right now, you're either complete or you're incomplete. You're either resolved or you're unresolved. You're either satisfied or you're unsatisfied. You're either finished or unfinished. In every right now. In some things in life, it's like a gradation, slightly less or more, but not with satisfaction or happiness. With satisfaction, that light bulb is either off or it's on. It's like being pregnant. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You either is or you ain't. So, in every right now, you're either satisfied or unsatisfied. I like to call these two theaters that are in your consciousness to play or not to play. It turns out that while we're quite young, because every living organism, even an amoeba, has, as part of their physiology, a mechanism that is called, psychologists call it the fight or flight mind. It's that voice that says, shut up, watch out, don't say that, that was stupid, they're going to get you, you know, all that stuff. The fight or flight mind doesn't take very many years before people learn not to play, not to go for it, not to dive in. But because as children they've learned that big people don't resist. They get with the program. They do what they should do. They do what they're supposed to do. They learn, they go from resisting. Like 2-year-olds are really good at resisting. I remember when my son was 2, he'd go, I'd say, no, Eli, he'd go, don't want to know. You know, oh, show Aunt Matilda that dance he did the other day. You show Aunt Matilda. You know, they don't know how not to resist. And then they learn that big kids get with the program, so they learn how to succumb, how to give in, how to go along with, how to pretend. And that means that what they become very good at is going through the motions. So if you're older than 5 or 6 years old, you become pretty professional at going through the motions. Giving in, going along with, putting up with, tolerating, pretending, swallowing. Now the interesting thing about going through the motions, you know, it's that, okay. I said I would do it, I'll do it. Okay. You don't get the flavor of that? Mm-hmm. I know it's my job. It's what it means to be married. It's what it means to be a father. It's what it means, you know, to have a job. Okay. Now the trouble is, there's no cheese in that tunnel. There's no satisfaction in that tunnel. The moment you go from here to here, this is the theater of love and play and joy and everything that you love. The art, the music, skiing, you know, whatever. This is that theater. This is actually the theater of the soul, or what I like to call your being. This is the theater of fear. Now, who wants to take a guess? How much would you say the average person spends in the theater of fear, being good boys and good girls and doing what they should do and what they ought to do and what they're supposed to do, and, you know, and going through the motions without any satisfaction, without any joy or vitality or aliveness, right? Versus being in the theater of love and joy and yeehaw, right? How much of every day would you guess the average person spends in this theater versus this theater?
95?
In this theater.
I'd say about 90.
85%.
95. I'd say 95.
That's the average. That means almost everybody that you talk to, everybody that you relate to, has become expert at not being happy most of the time. Once in a while, they trip over something happy. tragic. Now the good news is that in many ways in this workshop, you're going to learn some powerful tools about how to stay a lot more often in this theater. As a matter of fact, there are people on the planet who've actually reversed those numbers, who spend most of the time in the other theater. Matter of fact, you're looking at one. I know what it's like. I don't work. I never work. I play. And I don't know if it's in this workshop. It's probably in the last one. I can't remember. But because I learned how to do this, at some point I can teach anybody how to work 1/3 less than you're working now, 1/3 less time, and accomplish 1/3 more in your life. When I do my percentage clients, that's one of the things I start off with, is showing them how to work less and earn more. I really love that laugh. Took me years to get that laugh. Well, you've mastered it. Yes. So do we have Latimer ready? Michelle, I'm just checking. Do we have the video Latimer ready? Yep. Okay, go ahead and I'm just going to give them a short introduction, then you can put it on, okay? All through the night. Let's see. How many of you would like to be facilitators, like in front of the room doing stuff like I'm doing, you know, teaching, facilitating, healing, etc., etc., okay? Raise your hands. Get them high. Okay, good. For those of you who see yourselves as future facilitators, I want you to know that when I teach Pinnacle of Presentations, I give them a manual that has over 100 tools in it. And all the tools are designed to create more space in the room. Now, space is that invisible energy, that invisible atmosphere that gets people leaning forward in their seats, laughing at the jokes, having discoveries, ahas, revelations, okay? And a lot of what I give you in that manual is done on a subconscious basis, not a conscious basis. Subconscious. So all night long, I'm going to be doing something with you. And at the end of the night, somebody can remind me to tell you what I've been doing with you all night long, because a lot of it you might not notice. But to demonstrate the power of the subconscious, I'm going to play a clip for you. This is from a TV show that happened years ago. I don't think it's on anymore. But it's actually based on a real guy, an actual guy who studied what we call micro-expressions. Has anybody here studied neuro-linguistic programming, NLP? Good. Yeah, that's similar to that. Okay, go ahead. Play it.
I've instructed my client to remain silent. He's not going to talk.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't have much faith in words myself. Statistically speaking, average person tells 3 lies per 10 minutes conversation. And granted, it's just regular people. We haven't studied the people who are planning to firebomb a black church. Could skew differently.
We don't have time for this scientist to talk to the guy. We went at him for 4 hours and got nothing.
Now, the FBI knows you want mass casualties. So right now, ATF is searching every inch of the 2 largest black churches in the state. FBI got it wrong. Well, there's a shocker. Not one of those 2 churches. Maybe you want one of the smaller churches. One of the black suburbs.
You know what you're talking about.
Don't respond. What do you say ATF starts with Southbridge? Now, I'm only kidding. We're going to skip that one. We're going to focus on Lawton. You feel good about it? That's it, Lawton. Going after a church in Lawton.
That accusation has no basis.
What do you mean? You just told me. The ATF found a pipe bomb in a church basement in Lawton an hour later.
DOD friend of mine said this guy's a total nutjob. But he spent like 3 years in the African jungle with some primitive tribes studying their eyebrows.
What's his reaction to my statement? Right now, ATF is searching every inch of the 2 largest black churches in the state. And what you just saw there was a brief expression of happiness on his face, which he was trying his best to conceal. It lasted for less than 1/5 of a second as what we call a micro-expression. Now look at his mouth. The suspect is secretly happy about the locations we are searching, which tells me we have the wrong locations. Now I tell him about our new plan, and... What you're talking about? Classic one-sided shrug. Translation, I have absolutely no confidence in what I just said. The body contradicts the words. He's lying. Yeah.
When you accuse the suspect and he acts surprised, is there a way to tell if it's real or if he's just trying to look innocent?
Now that's real surprise. Lasts for less than a second when it comes across the face. But if your suspect is surprised for more than a second, he's faking it. He's lying. Now, I call out that this target is actually Lawton, and watch it again. Concealed scorn. One personal tip, you see this micro-expression in your spouse's face, your marriage is coming to an end. Yeah.
Don't these micro-expressions vary depending on the person?
Let's leave this up, and we'll go to the Kato Kalin footage from the OJ trial.
Mr. Kalin, you got a lot of money for your appearance on Curtis Fair, didn't you?
Scorn. Scorn. Huge scorn. Shame, shame, and shame. Contempt. These expressions are universal. Emotion looks the same whether you're a suburban housewife or a suicide bomber. The truth is written on all our faces.
So that just makes a point that when you understand how to read certain things in people, you have an advantage. You have leverage. Like at the end of the night, we'll teach you the greatest key to leverage in any of your relationships, the greatest key to influence. So now we're going to go into making life work, how life works, okay? We call it the Path with Heart model. Now, how many of you are human beings? Raise your hand. I'm only going to teach the people to raise their hand. Now, get a clean piece of paper out and a pencil or a pen. Do we have extra paper in case some of them don't have some? Or pens? Okay, at the top of your page, print how life works. You can even print it really bold so it sounds dramatic, you know. How life works.
It's like Bob Marley from Scrooge.
Oh, you mean, yeah, not Bob Marley.
I mean, Jacob Marley.
Jacob Marley.
It'll probably be better. Paper? Not paper. Sorry.
My favorite Scrooge movie is the Scrooge, the one, the musical with Albert Finney.
Oh, yeah. I like that pencil better.
Okay, underneath the title, you want to draw a big circle that takes up about 1/4 of the page. 1/4 to 1/3 of the page. And inside that circle, you want to put the words, the dream. So that circle is going to represent dreams, visions, aspirations, goals, missions, purposes, etc., etc. Okay?
Circle, about a quarter.
A big circle that takes up about 1/4 to 1/3 of the page. There you go. By the way, boys and girls, you will be graded on your artwork.
Oh, dear.
Now, from the bottom of the circle, now inside the circle, put the words, the dream. And from the bottom of the circle to the bottom of the page, put 2 parallel lines like a path leading to the dream. I love it when something's so simple can have such a profound effect on people. Okay, now on the left side of the road or the path, put the word pain, P-A-I-N, and on the right side of the path, put the word pain, P-A-I-N. And underneath one of those words, we'll put some words so we know what we're talking about. You can put upsets, problems, barriers, obstacles, dysfunctions. Put the fun back in dysfunctional. So on the left, no, outside the circle. I mean outside the path, not in the path, outside the path, put the words pain. To the left of the path and to the right of the path, not inside the path. And underneath one of those words called pain, you can put those words like upsets, problems, obstacles, etc., etc. Now above the word pain, you can put, on the left side, you can put wimping out. On the right side of the path, that word called pain, you put ripping their face off. Because it turns out that human beings only have two defenses. Being passive or wimping out, and ripping their face off or being aggressive. Anytime your performance or your productivity drops, you can bet you're doing one of those two things. You're either wimping out, which is like giving in, going along with, swallowing it, pretending it doesn't upset you, putting up with, putting it under the rug, you know, all that. Or on the other side, you're blaming, you're shaming, you're finding fault, you're verbally or whatever attacking, you know. And both of them are in the pain zone. They don't create happiness. They don't create joy or love or any of that. They actually, either one will rob you of personal power. Okay, so look at your chart. That's it. That's how life works. On Monday, if you're living in the dream or moving toward the dream in your own consciousness, you're in the happy zone. You know, the light bulb is on. I'm happy. I'm satisfied. I'm fulfilled. On Tuesday, if something comes into your field of perception and your fight or flight mind gets either threatened or uncomfortable, you might sell out. You might give in or go along with. Every upset in your life begins at the instant that you betray your truth.
Can you say that again, please?
Every upset in your life begins at the very instant you betray your truth. The instant that you give in, go along with, swallow it, tolerate it, put up with, try to sweep it under the carpet, you're upset. Pain is just a signal. It's just a beep, 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 beep. You just gave yourself away. Get it back. It's just trying to signal you. Now, if every upset begins at the moment you betray your truth, when do you suppose every upset ends?
Get it back.
Huh?
When you get it back.
Yeah, how do you get it back?
Honor your truth.
You honor your truth. And actually, even before you can do the behavior called honoring your truth, as long as you make the commitment. Like you may be in the UNS having a great time, you know, fishing, and suddenly you realize you're really upset. And you don't know why, and then you look and you go, oh, it was that talk with my boss. She said this and I said this, and she said, and then I just swallowed it. I sold out. I gave in. I didn't, you know. So if you say, okay, that's why I'm upset. Now, am I willing to go in and use skills and ask her to coach me so I can say something Am I willing to commit to honor my truth? The moment you make the commitment, you're not going to go talk to her for a couple of days, but the moment you make the commitment, your upset goes away. Your upset disappears. Pain is only a signal trying to keep you on track.
Will you say that again, please?
Pain is only a signal trying to keep you on track. You know, pain has a very simple message. If I put my hand in the fire, what does the pain say? It says, go in a different direction. Right? If you're betraying your truth because you're not doing what you really want to do, or you're getting talked into doing something that you don't really want to do, you're in pain. If you're a smart man in a dumb job, if you're in a marriage you know is a lie, whatever the truth is, if you are not honoring your truth, you're in pain. Now, here's a principle you might want to tattoo on your forehead. Until you stop putting up with what you are currently putting up with, you cannot rise to higher ground, where what you truly want is waiting for you on a silver platter.
Repeat.
Until you stop putting up with what you are currently putting up with, you cannot rise to higher ground, where what you truly want is waiting for you on a silver platter. Now, looking at your chart, who can guess when you would get bad news in your life and when you would get good news? See, bad news I just call lessons. Ultimately, there really is no bad news. There's just good news and lessons. But looking at your chart, when do you suppose you're likely to have life deliver lessons to you? 2x4s in the face from life.
Every day.
No, looking at your chart. Looking at your chart. When?
On the path?
No. I said, when are you likely to get lessons?
When you're wimping out. When we're out.
When you're in the pain zone. When you're in self-betrayal. Because the way life works is that if you don't get the lesson this time, with this husband or wife, with this boss, with this teenager, with this co-worker, life is so kind. It will make sure that you get that lesson again and again and again until you either die or get the lesson. And every time you get the lesson, it turns up the juice. It makes it a little more painful, and then a little more painful, and then a little more painful. And if you're really lucky, you might go, and life is twisting your arm, and you go, oh, go! And guess what you finally do? You finally do something that makes the problem disappear. You make a choice. Whatever problem you would like to disappear in your life is only there because you have not made a choice. You keep wishing and hoping and wishing and hoping.
What did you say before? Something, and then it's there until we make a choice. What was
The pain will repeat.
The pain will keep repeating and turning up the juice until you finally decide to do the one thing you keep resisting and avoiding.
Thank you.
Making a choice. So, when are you likely to get blessings in your life? looking at your chart.
When you're living your truth.
Yes, when you're honoring your truth.
Honoring your truth.
That's right, when you're on the path, when you're heading toward the dream. I used to have a book up here. The book, you know? Look under my desk in that box to see, and just pull one out. Yeah, a couple years ago I wrote a book. Because it turns out that there are only 7 things that human beings do that take them from the fear theater to the love theater. And I wanted to make sure people understood that it was pretty simple, basically. So like an example is, you will always be satisfied whenever you're honoring your truth. Honoring your truth is one of the 7 things, right? Good, thank you. Another example, this is the copy of the book, okay? And while you're in the workshop, you get a discount. One of the 7 things is, whenever you connect the activity that you're doing, whatever activity you're doing, doesn't matter whether you're paying the bill, taking out the garbage, arguing with your teenager, doesn't matter. Whenever you connect the activity to your dream or vision, you're satisfied. That's another example. We'll talk more about that later. Now, something I teach my advanced leaders, and something I learned years ago, was that when I listen to you talk about your projects, you know, your next project, whatever you're excited and want to take on, and I can hear whether your next project is headed for a train wreck or lessons, or whether it's headed for good news, blessings. Because I can hear whether or not you're the critical parent in your head is trying to push you into doing things that you're, you know, thinking you should do, supposed to do, ought to do. And if the rebellious child in your head is actually rebelling and doesn't want to do it. Once you learn how to hear those 2 voices, you can tell really easy. Oh, like I had a guy who was, you know, he had 3 companies. He built one to 10 million, he built one to 30 million, and then he was thinking this next one was even going to be 60 million plus or something. And within the first 2-hour session, I could hear that he was headed for a train wreck. Not only was he going to lose the millions he'd put into it, because he was selling out. He was betraying his truth. He wasn't honoring his truth. He wasn't speaking up the way he needed to. I'll give you another example. I had a guy come to me, really great guy, really capable, and he said he was feeling suicidal. And I said, well, you know, in our first session, if we can identify where it is that you're selling out, where you're betraying yourself, and we can get you to take a step in the right direction, 2 things will happen. 1, you're going to feel much happier when you leave today. And 2, you're going to get a blessing. Now, I don't know what the blessing is, but pretty much that will happen. Well, he told me about how he had a pattern of robbing Peter to pay Paul, because whenever he really liked a gal, he thought that was how to keep her around. You know, bartering for affection. Make good money so you can keep the hot one around, you know, that kind of thing. You know? Well, I got him to see that that wasn't what he wanted to do, and he really wanted to honor his truth. And before he left, he had told me the story about how he had bought this whole warehouse of stuff, and he was so excited because he already had a buyer, it was all set up, and then at the last minute after he bought this warehouse of stuff, the buyer took off. Like, just, no, we're not going to do it. And he was so depressed and he was suicidal because he couldn't sell the product. He kept trying and trying and trying. He was going under, right? So before he left, I said, you know what? I'm not going to be surprised if that product that hasn't sold for 9 months actually starts to sell now. And he didn't believe me, of course. Next week he came in, he sat down and he goes, hey, I got a couple of really large sales on that product that hasn't been selling for months. He goes, how did you know? And I got to kind of smile at him and say, because that's how life works. When you're on path, when you're honoring your truth, what are you likely to get?
Blessings.
Blessings! When you're off track and not honoring your truth, and you're in the pain zone, what are you likely to get?
Lessons.
Lessons! 2x4s in the face from life. And it gets a little rougher every single time. You know what I mean? It gets a little more painful, you know. Okay, I've already thrown too much at you. Get a partner and just share with your partner any thoughts or feelings about what I've been teaching you. Go.
Oh, yeah?
Because he's not happy either.
I was out of here. Oh, okay, then that's right. Okay. So, high five to
Oh, wow. I love
Oh, yeah.
And ripping their face off, yeah. But I put down here, make a choice, didn't feel there's the best. To make a choice about Paul right now, talking about what it is, your personal go for whatever it is that and that once you're free, free, oh yes, meaning, and then I'm not doing it make your choice to go we can still go out. Oh, yeah. I know, because, like you said, 80 to 90%. Like, everybody's set on the page resolution, right? New Year's resolution, right? And then, you went back. It's almost 50 before. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. That was great. Yeah.
Okay, no, I did. Yeah, sorry.
Bring that one over here.
And I allow that to work, yeah. I like it.
Okay. Any questions before I go on? Everybody got it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
More. Now, ultimately, usually not consciously, but ultimately, can you guys just wait until we're next break? Okay. Ultimately, all problems are self-created balls and chains that we create to keep us from moving toward our dreams. We create this problem, it's a big problem. No, really, it's a huge problem. I mean, it's big. And I want to move toward my dream. I really do, but nobody could blame me if I'm not really moving toward it. Now, I'm not saying that's conscious. I'm not saying people do that on purpose. I'm saying human beings are human. They're sweethearts. They really are sweethearts. And they're not conscious of the doubts and fears that mostly run their life and that keep them from moving forward. And when that problem goes away, if they're still not safe enough to move toward the dream, they will quickly create another one. If you're over, late 20s, you should begin to get a clue on this. People think fear of failure is a big one, but the truth is, compared to the fear of success, fear of failure is a wussy.
You have to fail.
When I've gone through my own inner work and I've done breakthroughs with Lori and 12 sessions and another 12 sessions and another 12 sessions, and I was really focusing on my fear of success, it blew me away how many layers there are for all human beings of the fear of success. I mean, layer after layer after layer. It's amazing. So if you look at your chart, you can see that life is a pleasure-pain system designed to guide you to your dreams. It's a pleasure-pain system designed to guide you toward your dreams. It's not in the handouts. They just drew a chart, so you can have somebody show you the chart that they drew, and then you can copy it. Okay? Now, for those of you who have a spiritual bent, you can say that life is a pleasure-pain system designed to guide you to the light. Now, in the book I wrote, there's a part where I put, what is God's will? Pain is God's gift to support us in choosing to be true to self. See, even before Shakespeare said it, God said it. To honor our truth, to be authentic, to stay on path with our dream, and to know joy and peace and fulfillment. And this is God's will. Pain is God's gift to support us in choosing God's will. Do we have Defending Your Life available? The video? Any questions while she's getting the video up?
Is it in relationships?
Yep. Under videos. Danielle, you might want to show your friend the chart so she can draw something similar.
Oh yeah. She can use
Okay, got it.
Okay, go ahead, put it on. This is a cute movie called Defending Your Life that Albert Brooks made. He dies and he doesn't know whether he's in heaven or hell, and he's about to find out.
Well, the trial, second of all, yes.
Oh, no, go back to the beginning.
Well, what if I'm guilty? What happens then? Don't think.
No, that was the right scene. You just need to go back to the beginning.
Think innocent or guilty. Worst comes to worst, you'll go back to Earth and you'll try it again. Well, what do? You just keep going back until
Take it back to the beginning.
Well, you don't keep going back.
No, it's
Eventually
53
they'll
seconds
throw.
in.
Okay.
You move the bottom of the thing.
Yeah,
There you
you
go.
did it. You got it.
There you go.
Good job. Good job.
I apologize.
Huh. Daniel, Bob Diamond. Hi. Come on in. How are you? Sit down, my friend. What are you looking at? What's wrong? You look good in that tupa. Some people don't, but you do. It's flattering to you. Thanks. So, is this what you thought it would be? Thought what would be? Where am I? Is this heaven? No, it isn't heaven. Is it hell? No, it isn't hell either. Actually, there is no hell. Although I hear Los Angeles is getting pretty close. Well, Daniel, let me tell you what's going on. When you're born into this universe, you're in it for a long, long time. You have many different lifetimes. And after each lifetime, there's an examining period, which you're in now. You see, every second of every lifetime is always recorded. And as each one ends, we sort of look at it. Look at a few of the days, examine it. And then if everybody agrees, you move forward. What do you mean move forward? I mean move forward, continue onward. The point of this whole thing is to keep getting smarter, to keep growing, to use as much of your brain as possible. For example, I use 48% of my brain. Do you know how much you use? 47? 3. 3? I use 3% of my brain? Yes, don't worry about it. Everybody on Earth uses 3% of their brain. 3 to 5%. That's why they're there. 3? 3%? 3%? You mean nobody on Earth uses more than that? When you use more than 5% of your brain, you don't want to be on Earth, believe me. Well, not that your takeout places aren't lovely, but there are many more exciting destinations for smarter people. Now, being from Earth as you are and using as little of your brain as you do, your life has pretty much been devoted to dealing with fear. It has? Well, everybody on Earth deals with fear. That's what little brains do. What are little brains? That's what we call you folks behind your back. Forgive me. Who are you? Well, I'm just like you. I was on Earth a long time ago. But I advanced. I moved forward. I got over my fears, and I got smarter. Did you have friends whose stomachs hurt? Every one of them. It's fear. Fear is like a giant fog. It sits on your brain and blocks everything. Real feelings, true happiness, real joy. They can't get through that fog. But you lift it, and buddy, you're in for the ride of your life. God, my 3% is swimming.
Awesome.
When that movie came out, Shirley MacLaine had just published her book, Out on a Limb, right, about all the cosmic stuff. And there was a scene in the movie where they go to the past life pavilion. And they get to see some of the people they've been in past lives, right? And Shirley MacLaine came out as the MC right? And the whole audience just cracked up. Okay, so, no questions so far? Okay. Now we're going to talk about the power of dreams. True living is living in the dream. Like I said earlier, in every right now, satisfaction occurs whenever you're doing one simple, though rarely easy thing. You're living in your dream, or you're moving towards your dream. If you have an experiential connection between you and your dream, in that moment, you're satisfied, you're happy, you're complete. It literally is true in every right now. Now I'll give you an example. Long time ago, when PCs were kind of a new thing, I went over to a coworker's house to work on a project. We knew it was going to take hours, so we went to her kitchen and she had this PC. And I looked out the window and I saw her daughter, Tara, who was, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years old, something like that. And she had a hammer and some nails and some boards, but I couldn't tell what she was building. But what was obvious was that she was lit up. I mean, her face looked like she was blissed. And it got my attention. And I was like, you know. And every time there'd be like a lull in the conversation, I'd just check her out again. And like I couldn't stop checking her out. What is she so ecstatic about? She came in the house and I said, Tara, what are you doing? She went, I'm building a fort. And she ran in the bedroom. She ran out, kept going. And I thought about it. I thought, what is she actually doing? She's hitting a nail with a hammer. And she's hitting a nail with a hammer. And she's hitting a nail with a hammer for hours. I have friends in construction who hit nails with hammers, but they don't look like they just saw heaven. You know what I mean? Because when they do what they do, they hit nails with a hammer. They're not building a fort. She, if you were to look at her pictures, great pictures, and listen to her thoughts, great thoughts. All the kids are going to come and play, and I'm going to be the princess. You know what I mean? And her feelings are exactly matching those great thoughts and pictures. Because she's living in the dream. So then that begs the question, what is your dream? In your love life, what is your dream? In your money, what is your dream? As a parent, what is your dream? In your ability to communicate, what is your dream? In your self-esteem or confidence or personal power, what is your dream? Because if you're just going through the motions, taking out the garbage and paying the bills and doing what you got to do to survive, and you're not connecting the activities of your life to your dream, mostly you're spending that much time in not happy. So, now we get to do the first experiential exercise of the night. Oh, by the way, I want to remind everybody, if you've never been in one of my workshops, keep in mind that nobody ever has to say anything or do anything. I'm very much into safety. And I don't want you to feel like you're supposed to participate because other people are. You're not ready to participate, don't worry about it. I always tell people, don't participate until it's too much fun not to participate. Then jump in, okay? Now, for this exercise, in a moment, I'm gonna have you stand up around the room in pairs, not threes or fours, just one-on-one, 2 people, okay? And you're gonna get me a copy of the handouts. Tell me what page in your handouts the chart is that says your dreams, visions, and aspirations.
3,
Page
page 3.
3. Now, you're not going to fill that page out. You're just going to look and see which category you want to play the game with. And what you're going to do is, you're going to describe to your partner, one at a time. One of you will go first, then we'll ring the bell, then the other one will go. And you're going to describe to your partner one dream as if it's 5+ years in the future, and guess what? Your dream actually came true. And guess what? It was even better than you were hoping for. And you're going to describe it in the now. Not in the future, not in the past. Even though it's 5 years in the future and your dream came true, you're going to say, today, let me tell you about my money. Or today, let me tell you about my love life. And for those of you that want extra credit, you want to be as specific as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you why. The more specific you get when you talk about your dream or vision, the more it goes from here to here. You want to be as specific as possible. And I'll tell you one more thing about dreams. As long as you hold your dream or vision as a good idea, guess what? It literally cannot manifest in the physical realm. Literally. It cannot. In order for any dream to manifest, it has to go from here to here. It has to become a direct experience. So the reason why you want to be more specific is because the more specific you get, the more you take it from a thought to an experience. And if you are really lucky and you get to a point in your discussion with your partner and you actually start to feel the joy of this vision or this dream, you win the prize.
Literally. You'll actually get
Well, actually, when I do genie games with people as part of this workshop, I schedule 2 hours because I do a bunch of stuff, NLP and all kinds of stuff, so I can get them as much as possible to experience their dream or vision, to have a direct experience. Because if they actually, we call it a clunk. If they actually have a clunk, if they have a direct experience of their dream or vision, that is literally the day that that dream or vision begins to unfold. Okay, so you're going to get a partner, you're going to stand around the room, one of you is going to go first, the bravest person can go first, and you're going to describe your dream as if it's 5+ years in the future, and you're going to be as specific as possible. You're going to have about 7 minutes each, okay? So stand up, get a partner, and do it if you're brave enough and safe enough.
We do each one. Each one?
You're going to pick one and do one only.
Oh, one. I know what.
You're just going to use that page to pick one dream.
Do you want to partner with her?
Okay.
I've got to see what the dreams are. So we take one of these? Yeah. It's like, it's probably like an area. Oh, okay.
Very non-conventional. I have to pick one.
Okay. I'll go first. I'm going to tell you okay, probably pick the one that just more like
Zan? Oh. Sure. I just want to check and see.
You know, but yeah, but my plan is probably not like somebody else's. Well, that's it, exactly what it is, because it's your version. Yeah. It's your sound. You know, and I want to hear your grandest, my grandest vision is walk my backyard and everywhere you look. It's going to be like a surprise. Absolutely. I'm all about, you know, actually in the body. And then you will be
Remember, only one person goes at a time until we ring the bell. You don't, both of you do not go at the same time. Only one person.
So, after all this time, it's like it's all up here, but, you know, I have to wait. It's with, oh. So now I have to have something to do in the next time. That is, it's something that I think about all the time. My biggest that's a lot of detail. I know, but we're gonna make this real. Okay. What kind of flowers? The first thing I want to do is make sure my craft is the you go into? I was like, that's not a good one. Already enough trees. It probably doesn't need any more. That's my problem too. Is that it probably doesn't need any more places where I can cut out. It makes me happy. You know, I know what it means to be.
Yeah, I would say that
like, what do you want to do out there? When I'm out there, I mean, I love going and finding different types of flowers. I can't always tell you what the name of the flower is, but I research it. Books on it, and I was drawn on it. So, most of it is going to be plants and
and so with that extra life now,
it's like kind of like luscious. Yeah, and it's like there's a person in our neighborhood that has a yard that I really admire. So I always do that, and I'm not the type of I like to choose weird and wild. I don't like when people make the yards all I don't like that. I like to exactly. And the more junk I can find to put in it, the better. Like rusty junk is my favorite.
Right now, she wants me to do something.
Exactly.
Right, we'll donate it. Right, or maybe you'll make sure brand numbers check. Right, so like just it's gonna happen somehow, and then just don't worry about it.
Remember, only one person at a time.
You're right. Well, I have a so she's helping. Hey, whatever helps, you know. I think this is where you're gonna like you said, you're gonna get your green. Like where stuff is
I don't have that list before I go, so I start out busy and I write it down because I don't have the list. She has to be there to make it successful. So I fell off the cliff. I don't have the tools to ever succeed. Which today I'll make it through.
Yeah, and somehow it just comes out like who knows how, like maybe you're feeling good one day, just like, I know, really, you never know. Or maybe it's something like dreaming the dream, the wedding, and you know, and I know it's something that's over time. I know it's something that happens. I've been working on it since I've been there, and it's not done yet. So, yeah, so you know, I'm satisfied when I get to the summer. That way, I had a lot of times I had problems with dies of you invest a lot in it. Hey, that was good timing. I just asked you. That was sweet.
Okay.
That was sweet.
Now you can go to the second person. Since you were only doing one person at a time, now you can go to the second person and let them have a turn. Go.
Go. I'm really saying green now, which actually is helping me. So I'm doing, I working with my dad and stuff really a week ago. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, so this is a big step. So it's actually really happy. And all those are like so great. Yeah, but it's like I took a year to like get the courage, and now I'm so much better place. Just because I don't have a choice, it's like I wasn't falling right. Right. Now that I am falling right. So it's just funny what you're saying. Like that's exactly what's happening. And so like I said to myself, I'm a branding, actual branding person, whatever. And so I'm really seven that are construction roles, but it's like the expand Haters Club, it's going to be like challenge and message, so you should do that. Yeah, it is like we've already got so much more about it, so cool, but I wanted to be known as the expert in remodeling, and I thought like 22. Yeah. And I was like sitting on my about what I wanted, and I would just have like a list, dream client, and I'm going to have my customers, and it'll be very exclusive, and this is in 5 years, so then I'll be one month and I'll be doing yeah, I've been working on all of them, so now it's finally like the big picture is happening, and so it's like this kind of team, now like I'm going up here, and it's and then I want to do yeah, like streets, all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, and then there's another thing I'm adding to my remodeling. I'm going to start doing like clearings and blessings. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, and that's like a good idea. I like that because a lot of times, you know, something right from their house.
Yeah, they know what it is, right? They didn't even know that they could know, you know? We're all sending ourselves, and I'm like, wait, I just kind of feel like I already do that. Somebody's telling me, like, even like when I'm brushing the paint, like I put an intention, you know? But I even thought, like, even when we like, maybe share up after, like, we're gonna leave Daniel's back. Like, we can put stuff, like, write here, the affirmation, what they want them to do, like, write it into your wall. Yeah, just like make it like a holistic, but yeah, like do that thing, you know, this stuff, like holistic home. So, and we'll do this instructions, so I want you to that's what we're doing. And we've got the national part of the remodel, actual instructions, I want to do like this and the whole as they, feminine there. Right. So that's my big dream.
I think that's awesome. You remind me of some of the gals in the
that's why everybody tells me, you know, I want to be more because I want to be more feminine. They're all kind of their masks. I want to be like, I'm not trying to do that because that's how I would be. And I want to be like, no, I am a girl. Right. I'm going to do this a little bit.
Yeah. Bring your own flair. Yeah. It sounds like you guys like,
and then sometimes, but
In a sense. Yeah.
And then like that's me ran shopping to my own thing. I was like, I'm not doing that. They made $80,000 job. They didn't want to. I mean, the thing is, and now I'm good for 2 months.
it's booming right now, so you have to right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
And they like handed me this job. I was like,
yeah.
They gave me this job with all this money, and I was like,
Wow.
and every time I like, even now with my mom, she's throwing a tantrum. She got here and she does this to me every time I come. I just like, I don't want to. She does this constantly. You know, it's not her.
She's probably a care.
She really does. She knows what it was about. She's like, I'm not interested. Like, I'm failing.
Maybe next time.
I don't want to. I just like it's kind of all these that are not working for me.
Yeah.
Each time I do it, everyone gets better and better. Unfortunately, in family, it's hard, but
look at the success that you have. And I don't know if it matters to you, but they will survive.
well, they never have them. And that's the thing that sucks is like the more successful I've ever been, the more they feel right. The more they just try to bring me down. And that's what happens. Whenever I slow down here, whenever I start coming up here, they pull me back down. And that's what it is. This happened like 6 years ago. It happened every time I start to come up. They pull me down. So they feel me, they feel me going up again. So they try to push me down again. So I'm like, okay, you guys gotta go because I'm going up now and I'm not down. So if you want to come up with me, that's cool, but
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So I was able to get over that. She still has
And my mom is very and so I've had it with all of them. I want nothing to do with any of them right now. This happened. Cut all because they just, it's like every time I make a big shift,
Instead of saying, wow, you know, crazy.
yeah, they're
30 seconds.
So I just have to like, well, and it seems like when I do that, then they kind of start working on it, but it's like they pass it right. And they're not happy with themselves, you know, so they're not
It's okay. Have you been on this course before?
Well, like, that's what I tried to do with my dad, and all of them are like, and they just break me down. That's not my relationship, especially with them. But I heard so much stress that it was like, I just can't.
You're doing something about it. You know, you could
Start at noon and go
I
all the
mean,
way.
I'm sure there's times when it's like.
Okay, I'd say stay until you absolutely.
You're able to.
And if you can move mountains and move anything around, then you
That's
well, again, 9:30. I can excuse you. You really want to make this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, really.
My friend has
So it's mine. No, it's mine.
Yours is this summer?
Yep. And the next summer, and the next summer.
Just kidding. We're all doing it this year.
Oh, that was him?
Oh, they were.
Okay. I want to take a share or two about anybody who felt like they had a positive experience. Anything you noticed or discovered, just raise your hand, I'll call on you. What did you notice or discover? Okay, Nico?
I noticed I got to do this with my lover, Kylo, and we have only known each other for almost 2 months. And my dream blended with his dream in different components, and I got to acknowledge the strengths between each of us and how just creating and just having a dream, it starts to feel like reality. Some places were really definitely realistic and others were like super far-fetched.
Yeah.
But the reality of just speaking the words and then just having the idea and the dream just started to like, whoa. So as I'm walking back here and I'm sitting down, I'm thinking, whoa, that just like took me on a really great ride.
Yes. Good job. Way to go, acknowledge. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I'll share.
Sure.
So I'm amidst a depression right now, and so what it helped me with it was realizing that I actually still had dreams, and so it was pretty soul piercing to remember why I'm supposed to stick around and things like that. So
good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
Any other shares? Okay, Sandy.
I was feeling pretty depressed too. Winters aren't very good for me.
Yeah.
So I even had a tough time getting here.
Yeah.
I was crying. But after just doing that little exercise, it started me thinking more positive, and it seems like the more positive I feel, I start to forget that I'm depressed. And of course that helps a lot.
I got it.
Agreed.
Acknowledge. Sandy, can I give you a tidbit of advice? I know that Charity's signed up in the workshop, but you're not, are you? Okay. My advice would be do as much of the course as you can. I would, if I was in your shoes, I would move mountains to be here. Like I'm really good with depression, and I've taken people who were on serious depression medication for years, and within months they were off all their meds. So I'm just saying, this course could do wonders for you. And believe me, when it's over, you will be in a whole different state of being. So just consider it. Acknowledge. I'm going to give you a break, and I want you to know like I said earlier, the first couple of people who sign up are gonna get an incredible deal. So if you think you wanna be here, make sure you talk to Shelley. Are you the one they should sign up with? Okay.
Absolutely.
Talk to Shelley and get signed up. And if you wanna know my take on what you personally, specifically would get out of this course, don't be afraid to come up and talk to me. Okay, if you're on the fence and you're thinking about it but not sure, because not only can I see if you're headed for lessons or blessings, I can see the next 4 or 5 years of your life. And I can tell you where you're headed on the path you're on, and if you make a little adjustment to the left or right, where you could be. Okay? Okay, so take a break, 15-minute break. They'll call out 10, 5, 3, 2, 1 time. Okay, please be ready to come back and start.
I now have the okay. Okay, great.
For what is it?
Huh?
That's too bad you can't do the whole thing.
I'm at halfway.
You're halfway? I'm a little.
Nice to meet you.
Glad to meet you. Yeah. You know, how did I do it? During the time when the table was like,
I love that dance you did, those things.
Oh, yeah.
So great. And it completely reminded me of flashback.
And I was in the surgery and had
Definitely the best reason that night.
like, whoa, what?
So I'm cute. Like I am just drinking it here out. No.
So I just come up. Yes, you know it. I just wanted you to know. I know you're happy. Proud of it.
Okay.
And to really see more people in Tyrone.
I've always got animal print somewhere. It's not visible exactly on. In fact, my dream view is cheetah print. Really?
I almost wore a leopard dress.
So how am I doing so far, Ken?
Great.
You can feel free all through the night or the weekend. Just if I'm sucking, just go like that. If I'm doing good, go like that.
You like Jocelyn.
She
was doing that at the basketball game when they scored.
Not given to me by my parents, but I feel like it's part of me. But it's been my spirit
Why is my bum not in shape?
No, why is it? This is why it's spelled. Everybody just pronounces it like it.
So really, the only
I know it is.
What are you doing?
I'm going outside.
What?
I know. Yeah. And I don't actually. Never made every day. Yes.
So it's like.
And I do it. Oh, I knew. And then it's
They're not a part of
you know
it.
the way I like that. So.
You guys are feeling it. Right. I got that in March.
Yes, I suspect my power. You don't know who I am.
I wanted to say hello again. See you again. Yeah. I wanted to chat with you.
10 minutes!
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just grab my.
Let me, can I hurry and run out to the truck real quick? I need to grab some food.
Have you never had this since then? Are you serious? Oh, they don't stop. They don't end. So our group, I think we were on this like, I don't know, we got the wave that was happening like this lifestyle. So our group, we got together and paired up and we're like, we'll go to Lava and we're gonna do this. And I mean, I'm on number 17 still. Right. Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I haven't gone to the my daughter did the
This is what I listened to today.
Where did you find those? Yeah, I'll take one. Thanks.
It was actually,
What? 10 minutes. Yeah.
That's cute.
Just for that.
At least
Really hard to eat though.
Her house is built. She sent me her last choices. It's really good design center. Pick up your countertop, your carpet. Oh wow.
You know, something that is really big that's hard to do is the fridge.
Pinky also grew another 6 inches.
That's something that one of the teachers a lot.
What we talk about? I don't worry one to talk.
My glasses on.
Maybe a little bit, but that's okay. You know, kind of, and it's along the same lines of what you're saying, you know, and it's helped to shift
Well, I know where my potential is.
it's not
Here.
a high and low
My
and
potential's
negative
up there, I know
you
it.
know, it's life.
So why did you have to come?
Why did I have to have one tonight? For you?
You had to come anyway.
Yeah, I was only going to be here for the beginning. Just to make it appearance. Because it's our special time together. We're getting, what did Dan call it again? Tuned up.
I'm journeying to where you are, but in my way. And it's just,
He's like, I need to see you.
you know, you talk about where you want to be in 5 years as it is now, and my children have that. My oldest, so with her, like, I just want
Hot to be here after.
But I know it's his journey, and it's not my role but just
Did I hear that right? What? You're signing up?
along the way that
Yay!
I know that like when we get not you know how it is when you're married. He's, to be fair, he has come
Standing in my tower.
like I'm getting fit.
Much as that hurts.
He's just doing the same. But it was all fear based.
Oh, really?
And we recognize that now, and so it's incremental shifting, which is
So we're supposed to
and to hear you say that where you're at that's good for me to hear. I know I'm headed that way, but just reminding me that it's possible.
People don't even know it's about being lover, right? Love and responsibility.
I'm like giggling where I used to work, and it was
Right.
the vibration happening with you.
It becomes just a byproduct of it. Don't run into
Well, because it's like a reborn. It's there, but I'm looking if I can get my kids to do that.
Supposedly exist, and I hear people complain about them all the time. I haven't seen one in a long time, but I think they're worth farming.
I'd like to be able to be able to fly.
Well, I was thinking about that. In fact, I used to. Every experience I had today with my truck, she sold me on paper the right light bulbs, and then she gave me the right package. I could have been like, but every single thing that happened today, I was treated so well, and I had people giving me
What's the matter?
and I found out things that were wrong with it that I didn't know about. Have you read this? Okay. So that's definitely happy to me, and I recognize that, and I'm very appreciative.
For me, everything's the assumption that if something doesn't go the way I planned it, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Like, pick up on term, for example. I'm interested, I'm curious why that happened. Usually I can look back and say, oh, but that's why I'm supposed to meet that person and have the experience. Or this wouldn't have happened had that happened. So now I expect
I didn't mean to interrupt you, sorry.
I literally look at everything as a blessing in disguise. It's either an obvious blessing or a blessing in disguise. There's always a blessing.
No, I don't. I'd like to have one.
It's not just a gateway, but I believe that that's the case.
Well, and sometimes, you know, I feel like we're so, people are so in their head that they're not
Yeah, because your blood rushes to your organs.
whoever you feel or if you believe in
And all of a sudden I'm like,
or you're gonna be or whatever, you know, we're not paying attention, and so when you
blood rushes to your organs and you shut down.
It's called
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna
You could email me.
And so it's the least expensive of our programs. It's 8 weeks, 8 classes.
Right.
It includes another one of these.
Right.
That would be a part of the program. It'll include a breath workshop. Really powerful. Do you know where the credit card machine is?
Right here.
Okay. Okay, right here. See if it works.
Okay. It's Matt. I might be able to.
Let me go see if I can find one. Okay. Here's the instructions. Sandy, sign that on her credit card. Okay, Sandy? Sandy, your credit card? This is This is an older one, so don't worry about the date, but you should just put and I'll find something. Okay, since we're running out of time. Okay.
Did I give you the document of Derek? Did you ever get a chance to look at it?
Yes, I read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Funny because
1 minute, I don't want to.
sometimes they'll tell me, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to tell you that.
1 minute.
And then sometimes they'll say, I can tell you this, but then you have to promise you can't tell anybody.
I want you that you send me.
No. Well, you mean Chantel?
No.
The one that we see on like, now she's in Seattle.
No.
That's fine.
This one is from Ireland.
Right.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay.
And say that about Jackson. She says.
Yeah. I did. Hey, I can tell you.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, Chantel, well,
No.
yeah, you probably went around and discovered.
You got more stuff on
She
there.
was unbelievable. We had her as a guest speaker and stuff.
If you want your
But
goal
I
in
have
5 years
several
though, you'll never
moments
sign
with her
up.
where
I hear you.
she blew my heart. You know? Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to give you a shot. Yeah, that's fine.
Same with this
She
one.
has seen my.
So we're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's the one, when I bring in this year, you know, with a new intuitive, I don't have to say anything until I see what they're doing. She started off with saying, you know, that Michael's.
I'm gonna make you rough.
That's not a guess. And she's the one who told me when Archangel Michael told me to take it out of my voice.
1 minute.
Is it a good or bad?
You gave it to me.
Yeah, she didn't know when my mom had passed. She went, oh, I didn't know your mom passed. She's like, matter of fact, when I took Derek and Lawrence, we all sat down and she looked at Derek and goes, he could give all of us everything. You know, they talked about auras and the dragon.
You just go through the very first month. I can't remember this
Sam?
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Michelle, you can turn the music down.
I get free tickets all the time. I get premiere movie tickets. I get, yeah.
I have one.
Jazz tickets.
No, that's handout.
That's your handout, that's your total handout.
Oh.
That's, since you signed up, that's your pre-course. You got it. That's your pre-course.
Michelle?
Yeah.
Yes, honey.
Okay. Okay, let's get started.
We got this class.
Nico? Okay. Now, any questions before I keep going? Okay. Now I'm going to share with you a new paradigm for relationships. For those of you who don't know what a paradigm is like a way of looking at the world. It's a world view. Like the most famous paradigm of all time was that the earth is flat. You know, that was pretty obvious to most people until suddenly the paradigm changed. And people said, oh my God, it's not flat. Or Einstein, when he changed physics with E equals mc squared, and we realized that time and space were connected. You know, that's a paradigm shift. Okay? So I'm going to give you a new paradigm with regards to relationships. Now, I really liked it one day when Werner Erhard, the founder of EST, read out of the dictionary, and it really struck me what he said about relationships. So if you look in the dictionary, one of the definitions is a relationship is an understanding and a being aware of another person's way of being. Now, if you've got that, you've got a relationship. But you may not have that. You may have an involvement, defined as to make tangled and intricate, complicated, to entangle and trouble, difficulty, danger, to implicate, to draw or withhold within itself, excluding the world, to make busy, employ, occupy. See, if that's what you have, that's not a relationship. That's an involvement. Or you may have an entanglement. To involve as in a tangle, to catch as in a net, bind, etc., so that escape is difficult. Now, if you got that, you want to stop calling that a relationship. See, by definition, a relationship actually works. Do you have an understanding and a being aware of another person's way of being? Well, if you got that, it works.
Wait a minute, understanding of another I understand.
Can you start over?
Relationships is an understanding and being aware of another person's way of being.
Okay, I can do it with them, but that doesn't mean they're doing it with me. It's not a good relationship then.
Well, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily working. It means that you are experiencing a relationship and they are not.
Okay.
I like what Joseph Campbell said. Marriage is not a love affair. It's an ordeal. A love affair relates to the individual. What you can get out of it. The marriage is a sacrament. You are creating something bigger than the both of you. As Robert Bly said, you are both breathing for a third body. So now we're going to examine, in your handouts, is creating a conscious relationship of 4 stages. Let's see if I can. Yep. Page 4. Turn to page 4 in your handouts. Now, since I'm going to be talking about material that can be intellectually taxing, I want you to know that I don't want you to believe anything I tell you. I only want you to give it a possibility. I don't want you to blindly believe that that as if I'm the expert and you're going to blindly believe it. I just want you to play with it. I want you to give it a possibility. See if you can get next to it, okay? Now, stage 1. Now, let's say that you're single and you go to a dance and it's got a huge crowd, maybe 1,000 people, and you're looking for Mr. or Miss Right. And you look at different people. Now, consciously, you look at them through the filter of your own criteria. You know, are they attractive? Or do they look interesting? You know what I mean? And you'll say, no. And then you'll meet somebody, and sometimes you both kind of connect and like, ooh, and then you start, and you're like, wow, this is happening, right? Mm-hmm. Now, consciously, you think the reason why people aren't interesting to you is because of your conscious definitions, like attractive or interesting, whatever. Okay, that actually has nothing to do with how you guys end up together. How you end up together is based on your unfinished business.
Preach it.
The places in you where you are wounded. The places where you felt damaged by people very early in your life, usually before the age of 5. Okay? So, you look at different people and, does she remind me of Mom? Not really. A little bit, maybe. Mom!
Yeah.
There were birds in the sky, but I never saw them
I can complete that.
And you don't you know, if you really fall in love, it's not because they remind you a little bit of mom or dad, whoever was the worst for your life, you know, whoever criticized you the most, you know, belittled you the most, whatever. It's because they look like professional strength. Like they could really push your emotional buttons to the hill.
Well, why would you want that?
It's subconscious.
$64,000 question. Why would any of us go looking for the person who's not just pretty good at pushing our emotional buttons, but we're talking fantastic, expert, professional strength, pushing my buttons, driving me crazy nuts?
Oh, because we're familiar with it?
Nope.
Okay.
That's actually, that actually is part of the ingredients, but not why.
Because we heal in relationships.
Because what?
We can heal in relationships.
Bingo! Bing, 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 bing. Give her a.
I've been doing so that's why I know, because I'm having all the problems.
Amen, girl.
Because
that's
your
why I'm turning into
soul,
an expert, because I have a lot.
your soul understands that the best way to get you to heal is to put you face to face with the same exact behaviors that somebody did with you that wounded you.
That's mind blowing.
And then stepping up
Mind-blowing.
to it to resolve it,
To
heal it.
face it, to confront it, to learn how to embrace it, and turn a big deal into no big deal.
That's why. Okay.
It's still spinning in my head. What you just said.
I want you to
Her
know
reality.
Yes, I have. Through it. I'm not through it, but I'm.
I learned this
I'm
40 plus years ago, and it is still spinning in my head. Okay. I mean, I've been in corporate rooms with high-powered people, like 8 or 10 people, and they were really fighting out about some issue, some topic. And while they were busy fighting with each other, I thought I'd take a look and see about his issues and her issues and what they would gain if they actually did not betray their truth and actually asked for what they wanted at 100% in a way that was skillful and win-win. And when I looked at all of it, I realized, oh my God, you could not put those people together in the same room with the world's greatest supercomputers. I've even seen people get in car accidents. It's an accident. You know what I mean? And when you get to talk to all the people in the accident, you realize that was no accident. Those people came together because their issues fit like a glove.
Wow.
Look, I'm really great with couples, right? Couples come in, sit down. I always have to schedule the first session as a 2-hour session. So because the first 45 minutes they just want me to referee and tell them how bad the other person is. But as soon as I do some good work with them, it's painfully obvious that her issues create his nonsense.
It's true.
His issues create her nonsense.
100%.
Like a glove.
Oh, shoot.
So we always attract the people with we have the most to learn. Now, the more we resist our own issues, our own doubts, our fears, etc., the more we attract people and situations which push our emotional buttons. I think the Eagles said it best when they said, you can check out, but you can never leave. I should definitely do one of my laughs here.
Scary, scary.
Scary. Now, our upsets are unlearned lessons because until we face the issue and learn the lesson, we create bigger and better situations so we can finally learn the lesson. And the universe is so kind. If you don't get it this time, no worries. It will deliver it again and again and again. Now, let's say that you find somebody and and like you're really connecting. And for the first few months it's like every day like skipping and hopping, woo baby, woo, you know what I mean? People look at you and you make them sick. It's like and then after a few months, I love you. After a few months of that, then all of a sudden you have to notice there's just a few things that, kind of drives me nuts. I mean, she keeps doing that. She's always talking. He never talks. He never shares his feelings. She always has big expectations. So, what we want for them is great. But the trouble is, all we ever learned from growing up with our parents was how to either wimp out or rip their face off.
Ooh.
So what happens is we swallow it and swallow it and swallow it and put up with it and put up with it until finally some little thing, leaving the cap off the toothpaste or whatever, and it's like, you know what, I have had it. I'm going to tell this person the truth. So we go into the closet, we pull out a big bat called the truth. I don't know why you don't get this. I've been telling you this for years. Any idiot would get this. What is wrong with you? I don't know why you don't get it. And we wonder why they don't get it. Now, look at your handout and see in stage 2, if you can point, you can call out the bullet that represents why most couples you'll ever meet will never get past stage 2, trying to change each other. They will never get to stage 3 or stage 4. It's in stage 2. Which bullet represents the reason why most couples will never get beyond stage 2?
Our times change. Passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Typically express these messages in tune, non-working modes, passive aggressive.
Nope.
Our times to change others.
Nope.
The first one.
I think it's the change.
Perception.
The first one.
Change.
Say it again.
It's the first one, if he or she would change.
Nope.
No?
Then I'll be happy?
Nope.
We've gotten every one.
Oh, perception. Is it not perception?
Perception is projection.
It's 9/10.
Mm.
God, I hate that thing.
Means that one, I don't see it.
My boss always used to say that.
All perception is projection. Not some of the perceptions.
All of it.
Not most of them. All of them.
What you choose.
What that means is that whatever you ever see can only go through the filter called my experience. Now when you're a baby and you start to make things up about, like in the beginning, a baby's brain doesn't know there's an I and a thou. It just knows this. And then it starts to go, oh, mommy is she's not me. And the moment the brain sees that, it starts to make a story up about mommy. Mommy's like this, mommy's like... Now guess how all women are for you now. Daddy's like this. Guess how all men are for you now.
That's true.
Yeah, and if you ever get to the awakening, you'll find out that what you love and hate about your relationship with your dad is your money.
We just talking about
What you love and hate about your mom is your love life.
That was the other day.
I'm not kidding. Now, that means that every tree that you see, every sky that you see, every dog that you see, every person that you see is either mom or dad. And you never see anything positive or negative that isn't you. If you want to test this out, don't believe me, just test it out. I want you to, on a piece of paper, write 2 columns. Write somebody's name on the left-hand column that you think is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Somebody you know that is like the ideal person, you know? And then write a bunch of adjectives under their name.
What do you put at the top?
You just do 2 columns, and on one side you put the person's name that you admire and respect and you think they're the greatest.
Oh, crap.
It can be somebody you know or somebody on TV, it doesn't matter. Okay? Now on the right side column, you want to put somebody in your life that when they walk in the room you just want to gag. Put their name up on top. And then put adjectives below their name.
Oh, so put adjectives below the one.
Below both of them. Below the positive and the negative.
I don't know.
Oh.
I know, but I don't want to write it. So, Diana.
Now, as you're writing out the adjectives, you just got to know the positive or the left-hand column is actually your true self.
Boom.
It's your true self. It's a description of who you really are. If you could see your soul, if you could see your God self, your highest self, you'd see that. The right side,
Oh, wait.
the right side, the person who makes you go like that, that's who you're afraid you are.
Oh, no.
This is who you really are. This side is who you really are. Okay.
So, when you get in relationship, you think when you're complaining to them, as soon as Bozo here would get it together, this would all work out. And you forget that who you're talking to is you. You're the Bozo.
I needed to take this course.
Aren't you glad you signed up?
And I won't go another 5 years.
You know, when I have brothers and sisters in the awakening, and there's a process we do about their parents, where they write down adjectives for mom, like her strengths and her challenges, the things that really bother her about her mom, right? And then same for dad, right? And then they walk around and they look at each other's things, and the brothers and sisters always look at each other's chest and they go, who did you grow up with? That's not dad. This is dad. You know what I mean? Like, they have a whole different reality about dad or mom. And they're convinced my reality is reality. And you're just making stuff up. I don't know where you got that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So what does that mean?
It means that all perception is projection. All their look, you know that you know after the age of 5 you haven't even met your parents. Your parents have shortcomings and strengths that you never even see because they're not in you. You've not experienced those. So they have dozens of strengths and weaknesses that you don't even perceive. Sometimes your brothers and sisters do, because they got some of those, right?
No.
You never even met your parents, not for a long time.
I have a question.
Now, for purposes of your love life, go ahead.
Because it's relevant to today. So my mom was supposed to come, and then she got here, and she decided to throw a huge fit and yelling, and then she drove off, and is not here. So, if I can't have a good relationship with my mom, am I screwed with my love life forever because she's crazy?
No.
Like, serious question, because I'm really
I get it. I get it.
It's like I've tried, and I've tried, and I've tried, and I told her I can't talk to you anymore because she does this to me every time, so I'm like, I can't do this.
The good news is this, okay? And I have a similar story. The good news is this: the relationship between you and your mom does not exist in your mom. You're completely, what she does, or how crazy she is, has nothing to do with your healing of that relationship, because it's in you.
And I feel like if I'm going to heal from that relationship, I have to block her off for a little bit because she keeps attacking me constantly. So I'm like, I can't.
Well, you don't need to put up with any of her nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay? Like,
But I still got hope in my life.
mom was very, very much like that, you know what I mean? I mean, one day, me and Lori, my sister, talked about my mom and said, we gotta get her out to do the awakening, because she really needs, I mean,
that's what I was trying to do.
if one of our brothers, sisters said, oh, I got a call from mom the other day, the other brother would go, ugh. You know, because you could put the phone, she'd be complaining, you could put the phone down, go and do something, come back, and she'd still be, you know what I mean? And so, in the end, we ended up healing, she ended up healing, and we ended up doing a lot of healing, okay? And in the end, when she was needing to be in a home where you know, people wouldn't visit her all the time, I visited her almost daily, because I realized that the more I could heal the stuff that she was throwing at me, the better my love life would be. So, you know, in the old days, when she'd get bossy, she'd drive people nuts. And in the end, when she'd get bossy with me, I'd go, you're not the boss of me.
My mom would probably hit me or something.
So all you gotta know for now, Crystal, all you gotta know for now is that there's processes that you can do with us or other people that can help you to heal what's going on with you and your mom or dad.
Okay? It's both right now, but
Yeah.
mom's worse.
The point is, whatever healing you can get your hands on, you want to, because it is driving your love life and your money.
Well, my money's starting to look real good, so I think I'm working out and stuff with my dad, but the mom stuff, I don't know.
Yeah, I got it. Let's acknowledge her.
So, are you saying that it's possible for us to heal without that person being involved?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't need my mom to be healed.
Absolutely.
So that I can, because we got the same mom.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know
Like,
what she's gonna do. You know, she might
Like,
heal next
we'll
year
talk.
or 50 years. I
We'll
don't
chat,
know.
because we got the same mom. But I think the point that you're saying is that we can heal without that person. We can heal without our monster or our dragon.
Sometimes a mom or a dad or a loved one, a brother, sister, whatever, a child dies, and people go through a lot of hell because it's like, oh, I never got to say this or that, you know what I mean? And they don't realize all you got to do is put a chair in front of you.
Yes, with a marble.
Put them in the chair, say everything, good or bad, all my resentments, all my regrets, everything I'm sorry for, whatever, and then switch chairs. And keep the conversation until you are absolutely complete and resolved. Okay?
It's it's yourself that's processing and internalizing.
Yes.
And you're waiting for them to say something.
All of your relationships are you talking to you.
I just wanted to add to
Let's acknowledge Sheridan.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to what you're saying, and that is you can heal your relationship even after they're gone.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Or you can keep healing it
Right.
after they're gone.
Right. That's right. Good job. Acknowledge. Okay, then?
I just wanted to add to that, you're actually gonna get to have that experience in this course. I did a very deep healing with my sister after we stopped talking for several years, and we did a process in here, and she wasn't even here, she wasn't physically here. But because of the connection that I had with that process, with healing her and healing myself, we then actually got to talk like a couple days later.
Wow. Like it instantly changed the connection.
Yeah, instantly, and she wasn't even physically here.
Just because you were doing the work.
Yeah, you know, when we do the awakening, there's a very profound, it's the most profound process I've ever discovered in all 30 technologies that I've investigated for healing and reprogramming the people's deepest doubts and fears, okay? We call it a breakthrough. And in that breakthrough, you find out that all of people's issues boil down to a moment with mom or dad when they did not push the issue, when they were afraid something was wrong with them, and they were too afraid to push the issue. And what we find out is when people leave the awakening, like we have so many stories of people who haven't talked to their dad in a decade or more. And then out of the blue, after they get done with the retreat, they get a call from dad that they haven't heard from for forever. And they start to talk and have a conversation, and dad actually starts to cry. You know what I mean? Miracles happen, and dad didn't even know that they were in the awakening. Because this weekend, if you're in this workshop, everyone that you love is going to get affected. And whatever degree of conscious they are, it will affect them even more. Everyone that you're connected to. Now let me get back to the conscious steps of the relationship, okay? Guess what this is? It's a magic wand. Now, I need a volunteer. You can stay in your seat. I just want to use you as a demonstration. Okay, Sue? Sure. So which parent did you have the biggest trouble with, mom or dad?
Dad.
Okay, are they still alive?
No.
Okay. We're going to pretend that he's still alive. And that you're going to go see him at the next big family thing. Okay? Good. Now, if you and dad get together alone in the kitchen or someplace, and then you start to get into it like you might typically do, okay? But I gave you a magic wand, okay? Now, whoever you touch with this magic wand will transform.
Okay.
They won't be their personality. They'll be their true spirit or being.
Okay.
Their authentic self.
Okay.
Okay? So you and your dad start to get into it.
Okay.
And then you just go up and touch him on the shoulder. And he changes.
Okay.
And he actually starts to look open and vulnerable. And he says, wait a minute. I think I could really use your help. Say that again, because I think I really could use your help. Would you be willing to help me?
Sure.
And then you say, okay, Dad, and you talk to him, right? And then Dad says, you know what? My whole life, I think that when we butted heads, when you made a mistake, I was there like white on rice to make sure you knew that you messed up. And my whole life, I felt like if I messed up, you were there to let me know that I messed up. And I want to transform our relationship. I want us to have a coaching relationship. Like, if you fall down, I want to be there for you and say, hey, you know what, it's okay. A little to the left, a little to the right, make a correction, an adjustment, but you can do it. And I want you to do the same with me. Let's have that kind of relationship from now on.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure. That'd be great.
Now, isn't this how your relationships are today?
Some of them.
It's like stark contrast, like they're that way or they're this way.
Well, here's the good news, okay? If you're in this workshop, before you leave, you're gonna have this in your hands. This magic wand is called the magic wand of communication, or we call it coaching communication. And I think it's on Friday, yes, that one incredibly fortunate couple is going to get to come up to the front of the room and do a demonstration in front of the room.
Cool.
And it will blow your minds when you realize what true communication actually looks like. And at the end of Friday, you're all going to have the opportunity to demonstrate true communication. And believe me, it will knock you off your socks when you see what true communication looks like. And then you just got to make sure that when you take this magic wand home, that you don't leave it in the box, that you practice it, that you use what you've learned until you get it down. Okay? Now, let me tell you what happens. If we can learn new skills, like the magic wand of communication, which empower us to get our messages across, then others will hear us. When they hear us, the one who really hears the message is ourselves. The instant they get it, we can and actually do get it for the first time. See, as long as I'm blaming and shaming and attacking you and making you defensive, even if it's subtle, even if I think I'm being clever, you know, well, you did do that, didn't you? You know, even if I think I'm being clever, if they're defensive, they're not getting it. If they're not getting it, who's not getting it? Me.
Which means we need to communicate differently, is that what I mean?
It means you need to learn skills so that you can absolutely get through to them on any topic in a win-win way. Any topic. Absolutely. And believe me, I have several people in my life that we do this with each other all the time. To understand that as long as your partner is bozo and you're waiting for them to change or grow or whatever so this can all work out, it ain't going to happen. Until you learn to get through to them, you don't get the message. You don't get the higher ground. Now here's what it looks like in a couple that really do want to be together, that really do care about each other, that really want to make it work. Here's how it works. Oh, she triggered me. Honey, can we have a coaching communication? Okay. We'll schedule some time to be private and do it. Okay, good. Now, will you please coach me how to say this? Okay, good. That's what you're saying. That's not so bad. I get that. They both go to higher ground. Oh, now I got triggered. Honey, can we have a coaching communication? Okay. Skillful. Oh, that's what you're trying to. Oh, and all this time I thought you were trying to beat me up. That's not so bad. They both go to higher ground. Now let me show you what happens when you both get to stage 4. Now I want you to know that you probably never have met a couple that has gotten to stage 4, but if you ever do, and I've seen a few who actually come through my work, use the skills. I always think of Tiffany and Nelson up in Park City because they really did use the skills for years. As others finally recognize us, who we are, our true magnificent we finally recognize ourselves. As we forgive them, we are forgiven. As they are healed, we are healed. Until we learn to get through to them, we rob ourselves of our own forgiveness, resolution, and healing. The process called healing has a promise for us. The promise of healing is the realization of our own higher purpose, our gift, our mission, our expression and contribution. We came to learn what we came to teach. We chose to create every battle of our lives in order to develop certain resources, to create a personality that would match our spirit, one capable of giving our particular gift. As we participate in the continuous realization of our partner's potential and healing, they naturally come to realize their purpose and their destiny. As they realize their purpose and destiny, so do we. You know, it's funny because even two people who decide not to stay together, but they really want to keep growing individually, if they continue to communicate and get through to each other, they will both continue to rise. And whether they're together or apart, they will realize their purpose and their destiny. Go ahead.
And they will attract a better relationship through that process.
Absolutely. Acknowledge. Okay. Get a partner, share with your partner any thoughts or feelings about all this that I threw at you. Go.
Okay. What do you get? What do you get?
So I get that.
Oh, it's me and you, baby.
Just share what you're getting out of it.
Work that I'm doing on myself. And I don't even, they don't even know. They don't know. So I don't even yeah, because it works. And just teach myself to get the word.
I can grab
They don't know
I should take that with me tonight. Not to be
Totally understandable.
Well, I'll see you, bye.
But they haven't learned the skills. So they want that, but very hostile. If you don't go
And then you're in the line of
are in the process of a lot of stuff is
Well, yeah, I have no idea, because I've never tried to replace it.
And it feels really wonderful, and it really
I think he changed
Okay, wrap it up. Have a seat. Any questions before I move on? Michelle, make sure you let them know. Any questions? Everybody got all that?
We're healed.
Yeah.
We did our.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah. Hold on a second, guys. When other people are talking, I can't have you whispering in the back, okay? Go ahead.
I'm sorry about the confusion. Okay, so mom is the relationship part. Dad is the money part. So, okay, what was I saying? But if I'm in a relationship, a romantic relationship, we'll call it. What was I saying?
I think you're confusing with them with being like mom.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
Sam, try to help me find out what that clicking is.
Speaker.
Turn the volume down or something so that, or stop whatever, so we can see if we can eliminate it. Go ahead.
I think she's confusing the concept of mom being the relationship piece and the person being like mom.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm okay, explain how my relationship with my mom affects my romantic life.
Okay. It's gonna be too long.
Okay.
That's a lot, baby girl.
I'll give you an exercise you can do.
Okay.
You'll find out this next few days.
Write down a sentence what I loved about my relationship with my mom.
Okay.
What I hated about my relationship with my mom.
Okay.
Then
That's easy.
cross out the word mom and put the word love life. What I love about my relationship with my love life and what I hate about my relationship with love life, and watch how they fit. You'll get it.
Okay.
It takes time. Reference later.
Well, yeah, it would take time. Look how long we've been having a relationship.
On
with our
YouTube,
parents.
there's
You know?
probably, I don't know, 20 different YouTube videos with me, 3 to 7 videos that talk about some key parts of best workshops.
Okay.
Okay, no other questions? Okay. It's really fascinating when, you know, anybody who's facilitating as they teach, they can see the levels at which people are getting the information.
Yeah.
Like some of my more experienced people who've been around a few years are getting it at a whole higher level. And then the new people are kind of like, you know, considering it. Maybe that's true. Could be. Now I'm going to teach you the greatest key to influence. In your lifetime, what you can be, what you can do, and what you can have will greatly depend on one key ability. Your ability to influence others. It's funny how when I work with teenagers, I teach them how to drive their parents. Like a car.
I wish you were around when I was that could have been nice.
It's amazing, because once you know how to influence people, kids can influence their parents. You know, one of the greatest tools I use as a parent, because I learned a lot of this stuff by the time I was a dad, one of the greatest tools I ever did as a parent was, you know, my dad had a temper, right? And kids always say, well, I'm not going to be like my dad.
Okay.
Of course, you're just like him. And so, you know, I was late for a very important, big corporate thing, and, you know, his mom had left, and I was raising Eli alone, and he's not done with diapers yet, you know what I mean? And I'm needing to get him someplace so I can do my thing, and he keeps stalling, and finally I lose it, you know. I need you to do it now, you know what I mean? And he goes, you don't love me anymore, right? And you know, and they're like, oh. You know, I was like, no, Eli, this isn't you. This isn't you. Honey, this is me. It's my problem. It's my fault. I love you to death. You know what I need? I need a coach. I need somebody who would signal me, because my dad had a temper, and so I have a temper, and sometimes I just lose it, and I don't even know I'm losing it until I've lost it, and then the words are coming out of my mouth. Would you do me a big favor? Could you be my coach? Could you, if you would just say, Daddy, please change your tone of voice. If you would just do that, I think it could help me, and then I could take a step back. And that day I thought, you know, he's too young to understand this stuff, you know what I mean? The next day, 5 times. Daddy, change your tone of voice. And I'd be like, at first I'd be defensive, like, wait, I wasn't. And then I'd look at him, yeah. He sees it before I even have a clue. And he's amazing now. He's doing amazing things. He's 30. But it's clear to me that of all the things I gave him growing up, that was one of the very best tools. I taught him how to take charge of the way people treat him.
Oh. My daughter does that, but it's not fun because she's bigger than me now too, and she tries to tell me, and you're like, I am the parent, so how do you deal with that? Because it pisses me off when it's like I have trained her to do that, but then I want her to use it on everybody else, not me. So she got me, I'm like, screw you, I'm the adult, you do what I say. But she knows better, so then it's like, it's hard, you know?
Yeah. The answer to that would be longer than I want to take right now. So talk to me on the sidelines or schedule a session with me.
I'm like mostly there with these things, but I can't get these last pieces. That's rough.
No, but you can talk to me on the sidelines.
Okay.
Matter of fact, almost every night except the last night, I always go to get a nibble at Applebee's or someplace so that I can make myself available to people, okay? Okay. Yeah?
Can I just add one piece?
Yeah.
Crystal, make a note, because you're accruing a list that you want to ask her things about. So make a note of all the things you want to ask her so you can You got great questions.
Come on, I'm like getting hot over here. It's like
It's
stressing me out. Like, oh man, what do
I should put that in my resume, you know. I make women hot. You know, if you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, are you all ready for an exercise? Remember, you don't have to do anything or say anything unless you're brave enough and safe enough, okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you in a minute stand up, and you're going to go from person to person, and you're going to introduce yourself. But you're not going to be you. You're going to be whichever parent you had the most trouble with.
Oh, Lord.
And you're going to slightly exaggerate their nonsense. Okay?
I don't know if I can do this.
And then right in the middle of it, I'm going to blow the whistle, and I want you to stop on a dime. I don't even want you to finish your sentence. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and to notice something, okay? And then I'll do the exercise several times, and I'll change it up a bit. Okay? So, stand up. Go introduce yourself to somebody as whichever parent you had the most trouble with, and slightly exaggerate their nonsense or their old way. Go.
It's not me.
Are we using their names?
That's why my mom couldn't come today.
Hi, I'm Marlene. Okay. Oh, I am so sorry. You want the other hand? I will. I'm so annoyed, and I love myself. I truly do. And I have little time for
You guys don't have to, but I'm just letting you know if you want to do the exercise, it actually works better.
And I'm really quite fabulous. I don't know what to say about that.
Exaggerate their
I don't exaggerate. Oh, Marty, by God. What I say is right. Everybody else is bullshit. I hate a liar and I hate a thief. I ain't gonna talk to you unless you want to go to the ring beer.
Okay. Please sit
Okay, close your eyes. All I want you to do is notice what you notice about how that feels. Don't do anything with it, just notice. Good. Now this time you're going to go meet somebody else, only you're going to be yourself, and you're going to make real, authentic contact with them as you introduce yourself. Go to somebody else. Go.
Sandy.
Okay. Hi.
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 I'm Diana. And I'm Tori. I'm so glad you met. Now me.
Now close your eyes. Now notice how that feels. Now you're going to go and meet another person, only this time, whoever you bump into is going to be a long lost best friend that you haven't seen forever. Go.
Okay.
Now close your eyes. Oh. Notice how that feels? And then I want you to out loud call out adjectives that describe what you saw in your partner.
Joy. Excitement.
Go.
Fun.
Joy.
Excitement.
Yeah.
Happiness.
Great.
Love.
Speechless.
Okay, have a seat.
Wow. Over the top. Wow.
Yes, of course.
That's my seat.
You have your name on it.
Only because I'm here. No, just kidding.
When I closed my eyes the first time, it made me almost fall down. I got this goes over.
Now, the question is, what makes a person of great influence? So I want you to make a list of at least 5 names of anybody in your life that had the greatest positive influence on you, and don't limit it to just people that you actually knew, like parents and teachers. Like, it could be people from history or the Bible or comic books. You know, John Lennon, I never met him, but he was one of my heroes. I never met Superman, but he was one of my heroes. You know what I mean? History, the Bible, whatever. Just make a list of 5 names of anybody who had the most positive influence on you. Whoever touched, moved, or inspired you.
Of course, you can't think of it.
When I was a kid, I had a wall that had pictures of my heroes on it. And when I bought my house, I thought, oh, I've got to do that again. So I started putting up pictures of heroes. And I quickly realized after I filled a wall or 2 that if I put all my heroes up, it would cover every wall in the house. As you finish writing, I'm going to ask you some questions so we can get to the truth of this. What would you imagine might be these people's perception of you? How would you imagine that the people on your list would perceive your possibilities?
Positively and negatively?
No, positively. How do you imagine these people would recognize your strengths, gifts, and talents? How do you imagine these people would accept your mistakes? How do you believe these people would encourage your dreams? Here's a good question for you. When will you start to treat you like they would? So I'm going to make a proposal. I'm going to propose that the greatest key to influence is to recognize and speak to one's highest nobility. To speak to the best in people. It's the ability to perceive those you want to influence beyond their personality flaws or weaknesses, beyond their mistakes or failures, and perceive their best, highest, and most noble self. Anybody interested in some advanced material?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. A few months ago, I started doing the 4 steps from Magical Realms again with friends, actually about a year ago. And as I started doing the 4 steps from Magical Realms, I realized that I was tripping over a new technology. And this new discovery is a way that people can get the discoveries, the insights, the ahas, the revelations, so they can literally travel their soul. Because decades ago, I found out in the awakening that human beings do not, their soul does not progress except in moments when they speak or act at 100%. The soul does not progress except in moments when it speaks or acts at 100%.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
We don't progress much.
Like, what's an example of being at 100%?
Do you ever watch Wide World of Sports? You ever watch any sport where you saw an athlete really being at 100%? Kobe?
Yeah.
You ever watch him? Right.
Yeah,
You ever see a singer be at 100%?
Yeah.
You ever see a skier? Yeah. In the awakening, when people finally ask mom or dad the question that they've been afraid to push their whole life, we have the person playing mom or dad be absolutely silent. And every time they ask the question, we ask them, now what do you hear as a response? And we found out that until that person asks mom or dad the question from the age they were when they were wounded and asks at 100%, they don't get the right answer. Once they ask at 100%, the bubble of their doubts and fears, what we call the emotional black hole, pops. And they have a profound, moving experience of who they really are. Because in that moment, they ask at 100%. Now, the kind of being at 100% that I'm talking about isn't loud. It isn't rambunctious. It's quiet. It's still. It's simply being at 100%. It's the absence of any trying. So I'll read this to you and see if you can, don't worry if you don't get it. If you don't get it, it'll be like a seed that's planted and eventually it'll come to you, okay? When you become a master at slowing down, at being centered, present in your body, you can flow. You can go into your consciousness where it's true for self to go. You relax enough to follow your passions, to be authentic, and truly be here now. Honoring your truth is the single greatest truth to be successful or happy. If you can be authentic or truly flow, you can catch the enormous wave of love and light that is now on the planet. More than ever, this huge wave, more than ever before this huge wave, it will catapult you higher than any generation before you. Okay, now I need a volunteer. Some brave soul is going to, in a moment I'll have them all stand up. Some brave soul is going to come up to the front of the room. And we all are going to acknowledge them and tell them what we recognize in their highest nobility. What their gifts, strengths, and talents are. What we think they might be able to be or do or have sometime in the future. And I just want you to know, whoever's fortunate enough, it looks like I'm choosing you, but really it's the group choosing you through me. Okay? So, whoever gets fortunate enough to be chosen, I just want you to know, I hear from people all the time that because they were the one who got chosen for this exercise, it's a life changer. I've had people call me up 10 years later or email me. You know, if you want to be the one to sit here and take it on the chin about how wonderful you are,
It's gonna be the opposite, isn't it?
then I want you to stand up. Stand up if you volunteer.
Learning how to be selfish, okay?
It's not to be selfish, it's taking care of.
I've got
Good
three.
selfish, yeah.
I've got three. Do I have four? Going for four. 5.
Oh, five.
I've got 5. Do I have? I've got 6. I've got 7. Going for 8. Do I have 8? I've got 9.
I think the goal is everybody's.
I've got
supposed to
9.
No. If you want. Unless you don't want to. Don't do anything you don't want to.
Hey, way to go. Way to go. Good job, Dustin. 10. Okay, now. I'm just going to choose somebody. It looks like I'm choosing them, but really it's a group that's choosing through me. I'm really proud of you, Dustin. Way to go.
It's helpful to keep breathing.
Okay, Charity, come on up.
Yes.
Come on up. Nico, just so you know, it was a tough choice between
Serious? On your shoes. Never done it yet. That was Kylo. Oh, you haven't done it? No. I know.
Okay, now, I want you to spread your feet wider, that's it, like that, wider than your shoulders, so you don't rock your hips. Okay, good. Now, my people will start to show you how it's done, and then anybody, I'll open up to anybody, okay? Good. And all you want to do is just breathe, okay? You don't need to comment or anything, and I'll let you comment after it's all over.
Do you need somebody to take notes?
Do you want someone to take notes?
If you, yes, let's do that.
Who's willing to take notes
I'm not
for her?
really fast.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, so raise your hand, I'll call on you. I want to hear what you think, like in her highest self, her strengths, or like that. And then if you get a sense of who she can be, then throw that in too. Like, what do you see for her potential in the future, that kind of thing. Okay? Raise your hand, I'll call on you.
Comment, if you say something to her, write it down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Write it down. Write the essence of what you said to her down, and I'll demonstrate something afterwards. Okay, go ahead. Raise your hand, I'll call on you. Okay, Zen?
Charity. I see you as like a queen bee. You're like a pollinator. You, like, it's not an accident that you're wearing flowers tonight. Like, I see you going around and being kind of a leader of women and pollinating the flower that's in, like, their inner child, like their little girl that's inside. I see you pollinating that and helping them to grow up to be queens as well.
Beautiful. Acknowledge. Write it down, Zen. Somebody else. Okay, Shelley?
Charity. Just like your name, I see you being just so full of love and charity and unconditional, well, it's unconditional love. You are so beautiful, and you have just a gorgeous smile, and you share of yourself so willingly and loving. You're so, like I said, full of that unconditional love, and you spread it everywhere.
Good job. Write it down. Acknowledge.
I see that the growth that you've gone through, you don't want other people to suffer the way you have, and so instead of them having to reinvent the wheel, you want to share the knowledge and the growth that you've had to help other people. You empathize with them, and you want to take them under your wing, and not necessarily just, but walk together. You know what I mean? Like, you're not ahead of them, but you embrace them and walk together and share experiences and help protect, well, help share, so that they, whoever you're helping, is healing faster, finds faith.
Good job. Acknowledge. Write it down. Okay.
Charity. I see in you a strength, empath as well, taking on others' issues, problems, dilemmas, but also using your own experiences to help heal and to bring understanding and light. You're very sparkling. You have a very beautiful glow about you, and very comfortable and relatable to a lot of different styles of people, and you are a gift.
Good job. Write it down. Acknowledge. Lori?
Charity. I see a beauty emerging. I see a hesitation about really allowing yourself to really stand strong as the soul within you calls to you. Maybe it is calling right now, God. Your soul is singing. If you can, write it in.
Acknowledge. Okay, last share, Sarah.
Charity, you have a heart of gold. Like you see people for who they are, through light and love, men and women. Like you have a grounded, like, soul. Like you see souls, and you're very spiritual. Like you have very many gifts that help you to, not only you, but like give people comfort, because you're so, like, you just like hold people with your energy. And you're so strong and intelligent, and you really do make a huge difference in the world. You're like a gatherer, and just oh my gosh, like, I love your soul. You're so beautiful, and you just, oh my gosh, I'd love to get to know you better.
Good job, acknowledge. One more.
You are a fabulous goddess. You sparkle and shine. All the struggles are going to be your greatest gift. Don't forget that.
Good job. Write it down. I'm going to take a few examples, just a few, not everybody, of people who said something to her so we can see how projections work. So I'm going to have those people who said something to her now say the same thing to her, but you're going to say your own first name, so you're talking to yourself. Okay? So raise your hand if you said something to her, and I'll have you say it to you now. Sue?
You use your
Sue.
Sue, you use your experiences to help others heal, so they do not have to reinvent the wheel. They walk. You walk hand in hand to guide others, so the other person isn't suffering the way you did, and they heal faster.
Can you all see that? And Sue?
Yes.
Good
I
job.
totally saw it when I was
writing.
Nico, you have so much empathy. You're an empath. You have a beautiful glow about you. And you are a gift. And you're so relatable to other people. And to a lot of people. And you are a good example.
And you sparkle.
Sparkle.
Okay, another example. Who can do a projection? Diana?
Diana, you are a fabulous goddess. You sparkle and shine, and your greatest struggle is going to end up being your greatest gift.
Beautiful.
Remember that.
Beautiful. Thank you, sweetheart. Have a seat. Okay, Zen, who are my small group leaders?
Sarah.
Which pen was yours?
Nico.
Hold on a second. I gotta check and see if Sarah wants to be a small group leader. No.
Just kidding. Okay. Well, in that case, I will be one.
I want us to stand up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nico, Shelley, myself, and Diana. If she's up.
Diana, do you want to be a small group leader?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Stand up around the room. Okay. You got 4 choices, and each small group leader can only have 3 people. So get them while they're hot.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, okay.
Are we standing or
You're standing there.
Okay, but
And they're going to choose you. When you get 3 people, then you stop them.
okay, cool.
Come on over.
Do they need chairs? Is what I'm asking.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Oh, right there.
Okay. I'll have you 2 sit with Lily. Go ahead.
Are you okay to do it?
You can do it, but you don't have to.
You're welcome to or not?
No. Let's get them in a circle and then let's ask them.
All right, let's go over there.
Okay, make a circle with your chairs. Make a circle with your chairs.
One more.
Uno más.
Oh.
Are we making circles?
That way, slightly.
Long day or what?
Okay, let me give you some instruction.
Gary, But use the gong thing.
It doesn't work when it's that loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you some instructions. The small group leader is going to start with the person on their left. So in this group, Diana will start with charity. Then John will do charity. Then Justin will do charity. It'll just keep going around the circle until the time is up. Okay, they're just going to keep acknowledging her. Okay? Each acknowledgement should be short and sweet. The exception to that will be when I come around, I'm going to offer each of the people who haven't had a higher self reading from me. Nobody has to. I'll just offer it, and if you do, I'll give you one. And I might be a little bit longer than the others, but it won't be a whole lot longer. Okay? So keep going rapid fire until the time is up. Okay? Michelle, yeah, you do time. Yeah.
You want music?
Yes, barely audible. Okay. Because some people are close to the speaker.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Go.
I want to acknowledge you for having command of your message. Oh, I see. I want to acknowledge
Just enjoy. When we are really good information policy.
Hold on, everybody. I forgot to mention something. I don't want to have to say it to every group, so let me explain this, okay? The spirit realm is like the negative of a photograph. So in the spirit realm, if you are the essence of, say, freedom, then you pick a family and bloodline that is the opposite of freedom. A family that is suppressed, constrained, bound up, etc. In the spirit realm, if your spirit is unconditional love, you actually pick a family and battles and challenges that are the opposite of unconditional love, like righteous and prejudice and judgmental, etc., etc. So I just want to let you know that so that when I come and give you a higher self reading, you understand why I'm telling you what you look like there and why you pick certain battles here. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Thank you. Keep going. Start the time over again, Michelle. Okay.
So in the right way, so in the left way, you're thinking, trying to figure out, trying to remember that. And the right way, you just kind of look at yourself and let yourself kind of figure out what you see. I just let somebody kind of look at it. And you see that whether it makes sense or not. Because 9 times out of 10, the right way is to see inspiration. And if you can make it it's like really good stuff. Just if you want to try to do the emotions, try to keep let's get that around. You know, walk up to
Let me just check into the next.
Yeah, we go around. So you can just
people do. I wonder when they come
you were so big
and you can't go wrong.
Yeah, you're so wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, don't. Yeah, yourself.
Okay, well, I mean, Joe, right, you know, and then your hair kind of goes right there. And then you got these round earrings, and so you're like, you just got like this like sun, like vibe.
That's what I was
Dustin. I look at you as soul from
Do you want to hire something?
old times, alive with society.
So everything I've been said was right on the
A
money.
man of power
It's amazing how intuitive they were.
in your knowledge, in your heart,
And
and
that
your strong heart.
You wanted
You have a true love for those that are around you. You love to share that love with others.
So Gary likes to say it this way, it's your highest mood.
You're very kind.
Your connection with spirit was so foundational,
Like calm
so
waters.
fundamental that it was
You
immovable.
like to communicate
It was like
the
a
truth.
complete faith.
And
So you want
carry a
to
light that's higher than love. Light is the very first thing. And you carry that.
Right.
Soul.
I don't know how long it's been. And so in the next few years, if we focus on.
Stealing mine, I'm just kidding. I was just about to say that.
Like 5 years ago. You are so powerful. Your power will flow people away. Sue, I've given you before. You have. In the spirit realm,
Sometimes when we're walking
which is celebration, and the wild for you
You can just say it again. I want to hear compliments you never heard.
And that's a double-edged sword because a lot of times that shows the lesson is you break out of that
and the reality is
Okay, and then now,
from Mr. Johnson. We are so blessed not to have like help all of us too, and sometimes we're seen as weaknesses, but we're ability to get excited over the smallest things is exactly why we follow Gary.
Okay, acknowledge the person. Okay, now the small group leader goes to the person in front of them. Go.
remind us.
You don't think Jared, I've been here, yeah, 3 minutes since I've been there.
Yeah, you'll learn.
Knowing that.
Feels like it's
encouraging. I love how this you said just now. Told me a lot about you.
your sensitivity and your spirit. Yeah, so you don't have to choose one or the other.
I love you and how they talk as well.
I am Scandinavian.
My estimation is
I'm not sure. Until then, it's a little bit of a challenge. But you feel like you just are good play and have some fun. I just see you going to the oh, I don't know if we can
No, because he's
it's just like coming right out of you, baby. That's too much. They all are, like, concerts out, and it just takes a while to get better. Some people, I think, it's all easy. And the right support around you, like the push up, baby. And they're gonna burn. Blue's gonna get in my eyes. We don't want that. I'll take my eyelashes off. I'll tell you all these positive things. It's gonna interrupt you for a moment. It's good to send you through.
Caleb and who's your favorite superhero? I like that. Now give me one from the comic.
I love that you take on the kids.
Yeah. Black Panther? Yeah, well, what's similar about that to you in the spirit room is that a panther is incredible. Very strong, very strategic, very focused, very clear on what needs to happen. That's you. Complete.
Have you ever seen a picture of and strong?
Yeah, and strong. You feel so deep. It's beautiful. The next few years is about for you to be confident and gain so you get how much ever you need.
And guess what it does is I tend to get power. That's what it is. You are so so remember he was talking about his son Eli?
At one point he had and he won the Academy Award in Utah for best new rapper. I'll give you his website. Would you like a higher self?
Trying to figure out.
Is it Kyla?
Yeah, making sure one's taken care of.
So do you guys drive up for this?
It's interesting, you know, it's very this combination of spirit is like a Viking, like powerful, but it's not just powerful, it's laughter, it's like a leprechaun, like a giggly, laughing Buddha kind of figure. Is there alcoholism in the book?
There for me. Yeah, the word protection is coming up so strong for me.
That's why you did this.
Mom, you feel like your mom. This doesn't show really makes a big difference. You've been sure difference. Yeah, you are watching your life. You are on right, you know, as sensitive as you are, which makes you so is because you are not going to let anything happen. And I would have access to my daughter, so he's better than that for how to walk power.
Acknowledge the person! For the groups that only have 3 people, you can acknowledge the small group leader, okay? Otherwise, the group goes to the next person, okay? Go. Let me offer Justin, do you want to hire somebody from
I see a very bright light.
It's interesting.
Brighter than the
Orange
shines
you're like a samurai.
Basic stuff or
God.
stuff
Like,
personality.
do you know, like, war movies or things like that? Do you know, okay, like, who's a warrior that you remember in a movie? Did you ever see Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
You know how the king in the third Return of the King, they're at the cave, and they're all like, well, we can't, no. He's like, we're going in. Incredibly powerful. Incredibly, you know, take no prisoners, that kind of thing. If I was in a war, I want you right next to me, because you would have my back. You are loyal to a fault. And very spiritual. You picked a family that would make you feel like cautious, not make waves. You never knew when you might get hurt.
Whatever we say to each other, that's what
It wasn't a fun family. They were strong spirits, but high expectations. Made you feel like you gotta be careful, you can blow it, make a mistake, and then it's bad news. And in the next few years, if you do some healing, you got the potential to be incredibly powerful, confident, and to get your voice. And the best side effect of all that will be the love life that you don't believe you could have when you actually. Okay, you guys are good.
Oh, do me. Yes, so Gary and I basically and so we all and then Gary and his company I did all of his work and then I worked on his work and so I actually passed that program for him
I don't know her, but I can see you carry a lot.
that as much as to deliver on the disability. So it was a 4-month program.
The last couple seasons you like, you love, so I think
Very
after
attractive and I Gary,
you also carry a lot of weight on your shoulders. You have to take a lot of pain.
I don't care what it is, because it was worth waiting.
Feels decent, and that was hard to hear, and you've been like blowing the fact you were in the just knowing that you helped everybody that you did, and have all that weight on your shoulders, and was able
If you're all, I mean, you guys are local or did you travel?
and not.
So you are the way that you are, or you are the way that you are. Got it. Okay. So our mind, because I said loyalty to people, we are looking at ways that you course. So if people want to do what's against them, that's what you said. Yeah, exactly. And you're willing to. Like somebody else. That's so cool. Are you open to hearing
Acknowledge the person. No, one at a time. What did you do last year? We just did. Oh,
Yeah.
on here.
We don't have time to acknowledge Justin.
You can do it after we're done.
Okay, keep doing it over time.
Okay, everybody, let me tell you what's going to happen, okay? If you've got 4 people in the group, quiet. If you've got 4 people in the group, then the group can now acknowledge the small group leader, okay? And you can finish him up and then go to you.
Okay, great.
And if you've only got 3 people in the group, you'll go around the circle and you'll all acknowledge yourself, like what you most love about yourself until the time is up. Okay? Go!
You should start this. He started last time. What do you love about yourself? Here's a secret. Just express yourself. So no judgments, no anything negative, all because you're true. So you're honoring yourself. I just feel like
Weird how like, you know, it speaks like, I mean, I don't know, you know, I've met you once before, and it's weird, you always like, have this inspiration, or like, something just pops up and you're kind of thinking, like, I don't know, like, how does that just like all like funnel?
Okay, my turn. That's one. And it's turned 70 last Thursday. And I'm going till I go 70. And it's like, I celebrate almost it's like my birthday month, February. It's like I'm joy, it's like all your life. You just decide to live life. I feel 14 years of science. Okay, so now.
Oh, so it's
Getting stronger and getting back to shape. So again, of course, I see communication skills. Through those dark places back in my life. It's so exciting. I studied a lot of Enneagrams, yes, exactly. All of that. Hey, John, what do you got?
Yeah, they tend to like No, I really do, they just have a collection. Oh, yeah, Yes, and you are talking to. Okay. Mom that you get to have, but not a grandma mom you didn't get to have. So much. Yeah, the aunties. I was talking about you in front of you. It is.
I like to read why mainly my Spanish is nice to see someone care and they're excited to hear what you have to say and cares about what you have to say.
Wouldn't that be the best job ever? Or if you like money, you can charge $40 an hour.
But that's the thing that I love about myself is my smart man, my smart man.
Love the jeans, love the shoes,
My caring.
Yeah.
My
Okay, acknowledge the person or group.
Well, it's gonna be 9 and 6 and...
Okay, bring yourself back to the bigger circle.
Right now.
There's a lot
Love your son. Love your son. And friends. Son and friends, very sweet, very sweet. He's really sweet. I love the glasses. Mike was kind of
Oh, yeah.
What time is it?
Okay, I'll take just a share or two. What'd you notice or discover about that process?
It helps open you up more.
Raise
like,
your hand and I'll call on you. Okay, go ahead.
It helped me like open up more, like
Yeah.
see the inner beauty, the past.
That's right.
All that outer skin.
That's right.
It was
That's right.
really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I was like hard at first, but then it kind of gradually got
Yeah.
easier, and it felt comfortable, and
That's right.
it actually gave me like gave me self-worth or confidence giving that to them.
Right. That's right. Yeah, why would we live any other way?
It was amazing.
Good job, acknowledge.
It's always fun to do this because it's, people are so funny. And when you're hearing like strangers telling you things about yourself, you kind of know it already, but it's cool to hear somebody else say it out loud to you. And I've noticed that about this exercise.
Yes.
It's always fun.
Yes. Yeah, good job, acknowledge. Anna?
Oh, wow. I can't count how many times I've done this process, Gary. This was, bar none, the most powerful.
Wow.
And I apologize to the rest of you that I got the best group. But it is profound how much healing is on the planet through this family alone. And it just touched my heart like I can't even say. No words for it. But it was a gift. So thank you, three.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Acknowledge. Okay, last share, Danielle.
This was amazing, incredible, wonderful. I got to share it with my best friend, and I got to share it with my mother, and I got to share it with Nico, who I love to death. My other kind of sister. And
Sister from another mister.
it's just my heart is full, and I'm so grateful to you and this process and everything that I've been given. Like, this is an experience that I will never forget, ever. I will remember this forever, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, there's nothing more beautiful than family. Even watching family heal.
Right?
Beautiful. Acknowledge. I also want you all to acknowledge Charity, who brought 3 people from Las Vegas to be here.
Boy.
Let's acknowledge that.
Can we take it one step further and
Yes.
say that's my ex-husband,
Yes.
my husband, and my son?
Yes. You haven't lived until you're in that circle, watching a husband acknowledge the ex-husband and vice versa.
Oh,
That's that was your circle, right?
Yep.
Wow.
Good job, Good job. Acknowledge. Okay, a couple of announcements. If you know anybody that you think would want to join us tomorrow, okay? If I can get somebody to lead that exercise tomorrow before we start, if they can be here by about 5:15 so that they can do some of the stuff we did tonight, especially the one we just got done doing, then you can invite people to join us tomorrow. How many of you, I just need to see if I need a facilitator. How many of you believe you have somebody that might be willing to join us this weekend? Anybody? It's okay if not, I'm just checking.
think we're good.
Okay.
It's Valentine's Day.
You think you might
I
have
might,
somebody?
yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I've got Angela Ekstrom who forgot about it, so she might join us tomorrow. Who is willing to facilitate those people through an exercise? I've got the manual here in the thing, but I need somebody who's willing to facilitate that to do that. Is there anybody who's...
I will, as long as it doesn't correspond with the process that I need to be in with Kylo. But I will either come earlier,
it's before the group starts.
like Saturday morning.
No.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Whoever's going
Tomorrow.
to join us has to be here at 5:15
To catch
so
up.
that you can take them through the process, a couple of things we did tonight, and then they can
Okay.
start with us at 6:30.
I can do that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So an hour and a half early.
Yes.
Okay.
Will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Put your name and phone number up on the board so that anybody who goes, oh my goodness, I forgot I should ask so-and-so, and then if they get them, they can call you. Here you go. Thank you. So if you know somebody that might want to jump in and they can come before the workshop starts, make sure you call Nico to let her know. And then as soon as you can find out from Angela if she can make it tomorrow, I'd appreciate it.
And I just want to add to it, if you find out that your person cannot join us, if Angela cannot join us, if there's nobody able to join us, call Nico.
Call Nico so she doesn't have to be here early.
Because I definitely won't be. I don't
Yeah.
need to be.
So call
But
her
I know
either
his
way.
number, and I have Kat on Messenger anyway.
Call her either way.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you were here just for tonight and you haven't decided yet whether you want to jump in or not, come up and chat with me so I can make it work for you. Okay? Don't believe that you can't make it. Like people say, oh, I can't spend any money right now. You know, talk to me if you want to. Okay? Okay, now, tonight, tomorrow night, and Friday night, I'm going to go, well, I'll go someplace. Tonight I'm going to go to Applebee's on Redwood Road, I-15 over to 215 over to Redwood Road. I like to make myself available, okay? Now tonight I gave you short, higher self-readings, okay? If you join me at Applebee's, I can go more in depth, but I'll only do one person per night as a higher self-reading, and the rest of the time we just have fun and visit, or you can ask me questions about whatever, okay? Good. So, but I do need to know who wants to join so that I don't tell them we're only needing a small booth and then 10 people show up, okay? So, if you'd like to join me at Applebee's tonight, would you please do me a favor and just raise your hand so I get a sense of how many people are joining.
They have half-price appetizers.
Oh yeah, they have half-price appetizers after 9 o'clock. Like I get a big plate of nachos for $4.50.
Yeah.
Okay, Charity, you gonna join us? Good.
So that means
All four of you?
The whole fam.
The whole family?
Fam, yeah.
Okay, so 4 plus me plus Lori, that's 6.
Okay.
Plus
So,
Shelley,
us 2.
7, 8, 9, and then Sarah, 10.
Okay.
Okay, thank you guys. So tomorrow we start at 6:30. Please be early, but do not be late. If I have more than 1 or 2 people late, I have to kill time, and you do not want to miss one of the processes tomorrow. It just gets better from here. Okay. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Would you sweet
Sue, I'm really glad
people
you jumped in.
take off your name tags, put the string in the back, and then leave them on the front table. Thank you so much.
So you're not going to ready for that? No. I just don't understand why they go.
Yes, I do.
Thank you for writing this down. Jot down. Okay, I'm gonna have you sign this one and date it and then the back, because I went ahead and did it, voted on that.